Chapter 131. Qing Long, White Tiger, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, I have returned to the Dazhao Holy Land. You stay here and protect Prince Yen. Wait for my news. It's the saint's handwriting. Qing Long took the paper and confirmed. Ha! Yen Chuan frowned slightly. There were signs that the door of the bamboo house had been opened. Wait for me outside, Yen Chuan said. With that, Yen Chuan walked into the bamboo house alone. On the bamboo table, there was another letter. There was no signature, but Yen Chuan knew that Mo Yushi must have left it for him. Yen Chuan opened the letter and read it. I came out this time with 300 high-grade spirit stones. I put them in the box under your bed. I don't mean anything else. You must accept them. You brought 3,000 subordinates with you. Your burden will be heavier in the future. Take these as snacks for them. Don't refuse. See you again. Looking at the letter, Yen Chuan did not know why, but he suddenly smiled. Yen Chuan gently put away the letter and came out again. Yushi really left? Yang Zigu also came back, looking depressed. The saint has gone back. Qing Long nodded. On the other side, Zhu Jiansheng sat on a tree, drinking wine from his gourd with a face full of enjoyment. Whoosh! A white light suddenly shot from the distant sky. Boom! A strong wind blew, and dust rose. Mr. Monroe had returned. Mr. Monroe's clothes were slightly tattered, but he still looked calm. Wenroa, how is it? Yang Zigu asked immediately. The stone of suppression was broken. I was lucky to have a piece. Mr. Monroe smiled with satisfaction. The stone of suppression was a top-grade material for refining fairy equipment. Anyone who had it would be satisfied. Oh? How is Shinkun Kuroha? Him. His will of the stars was snatched by Huguang. He had just reached the emptiness realm and was in a weak state. Because he had reached the emptiness realm, he became the target of everyone. Although he managed to snatch a large fragment of the suppressing world stone, he also paid a heavy price. He will have to cultivate in seclusion for a few years. Mr. Monroe laughed. Yen Chuan nodded. Where is Saintess Yushi? Mr. Monroe asked. Her. Let's go back. Yang Zigu said gloomily. That's right. It's better to head back early in case anything happens. Mr. Monroe nodded. Yeah, since that's the case, let's go back too. Yang Zigu said helplessly. Okay. Mr. Monroe nodded. Qing Long, let's go. Mr. Monroe looked at Qing Long and the others. We. Qing Long was about to say something, but Yen Chuan interrupted him. Go, let's go back with them. Yen Chuan looked at the four of them and said. Ah. But Prince Yen. Qing Long was confused. One had to know that Mo Yushi had personally left a letter for the four of them to protect Yen Chuan. Yen Chuan looked at Qing Long and smiled. You don't have to worry about me for now. She just got the infinite wonder demon lotus. She will definitely cause a sensation when she goes back. You guys should go back early to help Miss Mo. But how are we going to explain this to her when we go back? Qing Long was in a dilemma. Just tell her that I said so. She won't make things difficult for you guys. Yen Chuan said firmly. Looking at Yen Chuan, Qing Long and the others nodded gratefully. The four of them could see that Yen Chuan was sincerely doing this for the saintess. Yes. The four of them bowed respectfully to Yen Chuan. Mr. Monroe and Yang Zigu looked at this scene with slight confusion, but they didn't ask anything in the end. Chapter 132. Mr. Monroe took out a small boat, and the four of them stepped onto it. They soared into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Junior brother Yen, you're really something. Zhu Jiansheng suddenly jumped down from the tree. After everyone left, Zhu Jiansheng could finally catch up with Yen Chuan. Thank you, Zhu Jiansheng. Let's wait until we reach the Dae sect. Yan Chuan smiled. Oh, that's fine too. Zhu Jiansheng nodded and did not mind. Thank you again for protecting our army in the Feng Shui formation. Yan Chuan said solemnly. I also received a batch of dragon energy because of that. Moreover, I owe your father a debt of gratitude. How can I just sit back and do nothing? Zhu Jiansheng smiled. Yan Chuan will remember that. Yan Chuan nodded. When you turn 18, I'll apply to come and pick you up. Zhu Jiansheng smiled. That's great. But I won't be here by then. You can go to Yanjing. Yan Chuan said. Okay. Is there anything else you need my help with? Zhu Jiansheng nodded. Yes, there's something I need to trouble you with. I knew it. Zhu Jiansheng laughed. Hua Guang, go and bring the box under my bed. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Hua Guang replied. Soon, Hua Guang carried a big box to Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan flipped his hand and opened it, revealing 300 crystals that were surrounded by mist. High-grade spiritual stones? That's not right. Your father didn't give you anything. How did you get them? Zhu Jiansheng said in surprise. Do my things have to come from my father? Yan Chuan laughed. I was wrong. Yan Chuan, why did you take these spiritual stones? Zhu Jiansheng laughed. I haven't entered the cultivation world yet. I'll have to trouble you to use the 300 high-grade spiritual stones to buy some things for me. Yan Chuan laughed. Oh? 3,000 heaven-shocking bows, 100,000 sun-shooting arrows, and 3,000 sky-splitting spears. Yan Chuan said. So many. Zhu Jiansheng said. Heaven-shocking bow, shooting sun arrows, and sky-piercing spear were extremely famous, but in the cultivation world, they were only basic weapons. Of course, in the mortal world, they were divine weapons. What? Not enough spiritual stones? Yan Chuan asked. It's enough, but you're spending too much. 3,000? 100,000? An ordinary shop wouldn't be able to gather all of them. Zhu Jiansheng laughed bitterly. That's why I'm troubling you. Yan Chuan laughed. Alright, forget it. I'll run a few more places. Zhu Jiansheng nodded. Thank you. Yan Chuan said solemnly. It's fine. It's not like I'm spending my money anyway. Zhu Jiansheng said straightforwardly. Spend as much as you want. Yan Chuan laughed. Since that's the case, I won't delay any longer. Let's go. Zhu Jiansheng picked up a box of spiritual stones and bid farewell. Yan Chuan nodded. After sending off Zhu Jiansheng, Yan Chuan looked at Hua Guang and Lu Jin. Did you hear what I said just now? Yan Chuan looked at the two of them. Yes, thank you, Lord. If the soldiers knew, they would definitely go crazy with joy. Hua Guang laughed. Heaven-shocking bow, sun-shooting arrows, sky-splitting spears. It was obviously a cultivator's magic treasure. 3,000, 100,000, 3,000. It was obvious that it was for the First Legion. A few days ago, everyone swallowed a strand of dragon qi. Digest it well and use it to break through again. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Lord, don't worry. As soon as those little bastards came back, they went to sit cross-legged and cultivate. I don't have to say that they're all very sneaky. Hua Guang laughed. That's good. Yan Chuan nodded. Chapter 133. I may need to go into seclusion for a while. I'll give you 3 months to bring back 3,000 Hanshua horses. Yan Chuan ordered. Hanshua horses? Only the Zhao army's camp nearby has them. Moreover, there shouldn't be more than 4,000 of them in the entire camp. Lu Jin said after thinking for a while. Yes, Lord. Don't worry. I'll get them for you. Hua Guang promised. With regards to whatever Zhao family army, Hua Guang could already completely ignore them. This arrogance was exactly what Yan Chuan wanted. Lu Jin. Yan Chuan looked at Lu Jin. Yes. After the dragon chi has been digested, I believe that everyone's cultivation will have reached LV8 of the power realm and above. The silver armor won't have any effect on them anymore. Use some funds to buy new uniforms. Yan Chuan said. Uniforms? What uniforms? Lu Jin was confused. Good clothes for good horses. Find the best tailors to make the most gorgeous robes. We'll be returning to the capital soon. Of course, we'll have good clothes and good horses. Yan Chuan's soldiers are the best in all aspects. Yan Chuan said proudly. Yes. Lu Jin said respectfully. Okay. For the time being, you'll stay in the camp. Don't come near the bamboo house for the time being, Yan Chuan said. Yes. The two answered. The two left. White fog surrounded the bamboo house. Yan Chuan had activated the formation again. Back in his room. Yan Chuan took out the scroll. In the scroll, Yan Chuan took out the iron jade essence. Bang! As soon as the iron jade essence was taken out, it emitted a lot of black chi and rushed in all directions. The inside of the formation was immediately dyed black. Hiss, 10,000 wonders demonic lotus, what a heavy evil aura. To think that even the essence of iron jade would be tainted with such a heavy evil aura. Yan Chuan exclaimed. He looked at the iron jade essence that was wreaking havoc with evil energy. Yan Chuan frowned. Iron jade essence, a weapon of utmost purity. Since it has been tainted with such a heavy evil aura, it must have undergone some internal changes. Should I use it to refine weapons? Yan Chuan walked around the iron jade essence. Phew, evil aura. So what if it was evil energy? There's no sword that I can't handle. Yan Chuan glared. After calming down, Yan Chuan immediately took out the brush, Dream Immortal. Yan Chuan dipped the Dream Immortal in ink and began to write on the iron jade essence. Fire. 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 As the word fire was written one after another, Yan Chuan's eyes became more and more resolute. With the increase in his cultivation, Yan Chuan was gradually able to withstand the cleansing of the origin chi of heaven and earth. The cleansing of the origin chi was beneficial to cultivation. Similarly, with the increase in the quality of the brush, the origin chi would no longer destroy the brush. Instead, it would nourish the brush again and again. Fire. 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 The surroundings of the words were completely red. Yan Chuan had written a total of 108 fire words. Bam! Outside of the iron jade essence, it was as if there was a raging fire that was fiercely burning the iron jade essence. He sat cross-legged facing the iron jade essence. Yan Chuan's eyes widened. Ong! The golden dragon of will erupted once again, facing the raging flames of the iron jade essence. It began to swallow and spit out Yan Chuan's will flames. Rumble! The iron jade essence was constantly being refined by Yan Chuan. A month later, Zhu Jiansheng returned once again, accompanied by a few servants. He brought a large number of military equipment. Heaven-shocking bow, sun-shooting arrow, sky-piercing spear. Senior, the Lord is in seclusion. He told us not to disturb him. Why don't you wait a little longer? Lu Jin said politely. There's no need. Just send the things over. Oh right, I'll give them to you together with 20 high-grade spirit stones. In a few months, we'll meet in Beijing. Zhu Jiansheng said casually. All right, thank you, Senior. Lu Jin said politely. After sending off Zhu Jiansheng, a group of soldiers surrounded him. Sir, these are immortal treasures. The soldiers' eyes lit up with excitement. Chapter 134. After sending off Zhu Jiansheng, a group of soldiers surrounded him. Sir, these are immortal treasures? The eyes of the soldiers lit up as they spoke. The heaven-shocking bow was made of purple gold, and there were countless exquisite runes on it. The sun-shooting arrow was as sharp as a divine weapon. The heaven-breaking spear felt warm in his hand, as if it had become one with his body. Sir, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. A young general said anxiously. All right. Huaguang was also extremely happy. Everyone was in the barracks, and when Zhu Jiansheng brought over the treasures, everyone excitedly surrounded them. All of them stared at the sharp weapons. Huaguang said, all right, I'll do it, ha. He grabbed the heaven-shocking bow and pulled it hard. Buzz buzz. The bowstring was only a third of the way open. Pull it, pull it. The general said excitedly. However, the soldier's face was flushed red, and he couldn't pull it open no matter what. Bang! His hand loosened, and the bowstring trembled violently. Ha ha ha, Li San, a woman's strength is greater than her strength, she can't even pull the bow properly. Everyone laughed. I've tried my best. Li San's face turned red. Let me try. Huaguang shouted. Huaguang took the heaven-shocking bow and pulled it fiercely. Open! Huaguang's eyes widened, the veins on his hands bulged, and the bow was not even fully pulled. Open for me! Huaguang shouted once again. Rumble! The heaven-shocking bow was barely pulled into a full moon. Hiss! So powerful! All the soldiers were shocked. Huaguang was currently at the essence realm, with such strength, he could only pull it into a full moon. Good bow, help me pass the sun-shooting arrow, I'll try. Huaguang said excitedly. All right. Li San immediately placed the sun-shooting arrow on Huaguang. Sir, shoot there, the giant wudong tree halfway up the mountain. A young general shouted. Isn't that too far? It's at least 4 or 5 li. Li San said with a frown. Right there. Huaguang said with certainty. Huaguang narrowed his eyes at the giant parasol tree 4 to 5 li away. After taking aim, he loosened his grip. Swish! When the shooting sun arrow appeared, the runes on the arrow suddenly emitted a golden light. It instantly shot into the distance like a golden beam of light. Boom! A loud sound came from afar. All the soldiers were petrified. That's a huge tree. It's at least as thick as 10 people's waists. How did it break with just one arrow? That's 4 miles away. Oh my God, is this an arrow? The soldiers were incomparably shocked. Go and retrieve the arrow. Huaguang said excitedly. Yes. The 3 young generals quickly shot into the distance. It didn't take long for them to reach halfway up the mountain. However, after the 3 young generals moved the tree away, they couldn't find the arrow. What are Li San and the others doing? They're digging for rocks. Aren't they looking for arrows? What are they dawdling for? After a long while, the 3 of them returned. Li San, what are you doing? Someone asked anxiously. Sir, it's a divine arrow. It broke a big tree and even shot into a big rock. We had to dig for a long time before we could find it. Li San said excitedly. What? Such a strong force. It shot into the big rock? Everyone turned their heads and looked at the heaven-shocking bow with red eyes. Ha ha ha, good bow. Good bow. Huaguang said excitedly. Sir, hee, do you want to play with your brothers? A young general rubbed his palms and laughed. Chapter 135. Get out of here. Even if I give it to you now, you won't be able to use it. In a month's time, whoever reaches LV9 of the power realm will come to me for a weapon, Huaguang scolded jokingly. Yes. Yes. Everyone shouted excitedly. Damn it. Practice hard. The Lord has given us a task. We'll do it in a month's time. If anyone dares to screw up, I'll skin him alive. Hua Guang shouted. Sir, don't worry. For this treasure, even if I don't eat or sleep, I'll make it in a month's time. Moreover, isn't the Lord's task easy? We can get it now. A young soldier said with a smile. Get out of here. Go and practice first. Hua Guang said with a smile. Okay. The soldiers immediately went to practice in full swing. In the bamboo house, Yan Chuan used his will, calligraphy, and mind to refine the iron jade essence. He had been refining it for a few months. When he was hungry, he would eat the demonic beast meat that Lu Jin had left behind. He had been constantly using his primordial qi to cleanse it. After 3 months, Yan Chuan had lost a lot of weight and looked a little haggard. However, the golden dragon's will did not stop refining the iron jade essence. The evil aura of the infinite wonders demonic lotus was everywhere. Boom! A loud sound came from Yan Chuan's body. LV9 of the power realm? That's good. The cleansing of the heavens primordial qi should have reached LV9. Yan Chuan said casually. In front of Yan Chuan, a ball of flame floated in the air. The golden dragon was circling the flame. Within the flame was the iron jade essence. However, its form had changed drastically. A long sword floated in the flame. The sword was 4 feet 9 inches long, 5 inches wide, and 3 inches thick. It was faintly black in color. Condense. Puff. Yan Chuan forced out a mouthful of blood and spat it on the sword. Buzz buzz. The long sword vibrated slightly. Following the vibration, the countless bamboos in the bamboo forest outside the bamboo house trembled violently. It was as if they were cheering for the birth of a new sword. You were refined from the essence of iron jade, the supreme jade sword. My second sword, the Son of Heaven, was given the name Jade Emperor. Jade Emperor's sword. Yan Chuan shouted. Buzz. The words Jade Emperor slowly appeared on the sword. Swish. The surrounding black gas, evil aura, flames, and blood were all absorbed by the Jade Emperor's sword. The golden dragon was exhausted and transferred into Yan Chuan's body. The Jade Emperor's sword slowly descended from the sky. It fell into the hands of Yan Chuan. He stroked the Jade King's sword. The Jade King's sword trembled as if it was happy about its birth. Now, you're only made of excellent materials, but you're still far from the name of a divine sword. However, with my nourishment, you'll definitely be famous throughout the world. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said. Buzz. The Jade Emperor's sword trembled again and gradually calmed down. Yan Chuan placed the Jade Emperor's sword on his knees and took out a demon beast's heart. After swallowing it, he closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. A few months of sword practice. His mind was greatly exhausted. Another 20 days later. Bang! Yan Chuan opened the door of the bamboo house. He slowly walked out of the array and walked towards the barracks outside. Hiss! The sound of horses neighing could be heard everywhere. On the drill ground, many horses were galloping. Lord! Lu Jin stood nearby and immediately saw Yan Chuan. Lord! The soldiers also saw Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan carried a long sword on his back and stepped out. Everyone looked at him with respect. Hua Guang, who was instructing a few subordinates, also quickly ran over. Fergana horses. Yan Chuan looked at the batches of tall horses and said. Yes, Lord. There are a total of 305 horses, and all of them are the strongest. Hua Guang confirmed. All right. Yan Chuan said in satisfaction. Lord, is this set of clothes for the soldiers all right? Lu Jin asked. At this moment, the 3,000 soldiers were no longer wearing silver armor. Silver armor was no longer of any use to them at their cultivation level. Everyone was wearing a set of gorgeous purple-red brocade robes paired with a black cloak. They looked extremely bright and majestic. Not bad. Yan Chuan nodded his head in satisfaction. Also, heaven-shocking bow, sun-shooting arrows, and sky-splitting spear have all arrived 2.5 months ago. I have already distributed them to the soldiers. Hua Guang said excitedly. There's still an extra 20 spirit stones. Lu Jin was about to take out the spirit stones. I'll leave it with you. Yan Chuan said in satisfaction. Yes. Lu Jin replied. Lord, just yesterday, the last soldier officially reached LV9 of the Power Realm. Although our first legion is small in number, it is strong enough to fight against a country. Hua Guang said excitedly. Fine clothes, strong horses, immortal bows, and divine spears. The first legion is finally formed. Yan Chuan said in satisfaction. All thanks to the Lord. Long live the Lord. Hua Guang said respectfully. Long live the Lord. The 3,000 soldiers shouted in unison. At this moment, Yan Emperor was completely ignored by the 3,000 soldiers. At this moment, if Yan Chuan wanted to kill Yan Emperor, the 3,000 soldiers would not hesitate. Lord, the representatives of the 4 nations should have arrived in Yanjin as I told you last time. They are gathering to discuss the 5 nations' affairs and to compete for territory. Lu Jin said seriously. Good. How can we miss the competition between the 5 nations? Rest for a night and have a good meal. Follow me to Yanjin tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Let's see how my Yan state is doing. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. The 3,000 soldiers replied. The next day, before the sun rose. Giddy up! Giddy up! 3,000 Hanshua horses galloped along the way, stirring up thick clouds of dust. They were galloping toward Yanjin. Yan Chuan took the lead and was extremely arrogant. The eyes of the 3,000 soldiers glinted. The galloping horses were like a sharp sword, cutting through the dawn fog and shooting into the distance. 20 miles away from the galloping horses, 50,000 soldiers were heading toward them. On the commander's flag, there was a big Zhao character. The commander-in-chief had a gloomy face. Are you sure? The commander said with a gloomy face. I can't be wrong. The one who stole the Hanshua horses must be Hua Guang. I would recognize him even if he turned into ashes. 3,000 Hanshua horses. A young general said angrily. Humph. How dare he steal my horses? Today, I will bring 50,000 soldiers and destroy his protector camp. I will kill that Yan Chuan as well. Commander Zhao Qua said with a vicious look in his eyes. But, didn't the patriarch forbid? The young general said worriedly. I will take responsibility for everything. Just kill them. Don't let a single one of them go. When the time comes, say that it was done by bandits. Who dares to tell on us? Zhao Qua said coldly. Yes, my lord, you are wise. The young general agreed. Report. A scout rode toward them from afar. What's the matter? Zhao Qua asked. 3,000 cavalrymen are running toward us from 10 miles away. The scout immediately reported. Cavalrymen? 3,000? It's Hua Guang. Ha ha ha. You don't want to take the path to heaven, but you want to barge into hell? Get into formation. Prepare to kill the enemy. Zhao Qua said with a glare. Roar. The 50,000 soldiers replied. Chapter 136. Giddy up. Yan Chuan took the lead. Dust and smoke rose into the air as his horse galloped. The 3,000 soldiers followed closely behind without stopping for a moment. The Hanshua horses were astonishingly fast. In a few hours, they were already 100 miles away. Yan Chuan's horse galloped over a small hill. With his sharp eyes, he immediately saw the billowing dust in the distance. Stop! Yan Chuan shouted. Shoo! Shoo! The 3,000 soldiers immediately pulled on the reins. The horses neighed and stopped in their tracks. The 3,000 soldiers were all at least LV9 of the power realm. Naturally, they suppressed the Fergana horses into obedience. Therefore, the horses were extremely well behaved and did not make any noise. On the hill, Yan Chuan squinted his eyes and looked into the distance. On his left and right were Hua Guang and Lu Jin. "Lord, is there an ambush ahead?" Lu Jin said in a deep voice. "That old bastard Zhao Kuo, the younger brother of Patriarch Zhao. I've requisitioned his Hanshua horses. How dare he lead 50,000 elite soldiers here?" Hua Guang said coldly. "Hua Guang, go and talk to him. Tell him to get out of the way." Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. "Yes." Hua Guang replied. "Giddy up." Hua Guang rode his horse and galloped straight ahead. Zhao Kuo saw the lone horse approaching from afar. "Stop!" Zhao Kuo shouted. The 50,000 soldiers stopped immediately. They got into formation and faced the lone horse that was galloping from afar. "Sir, look at that hill. The leader should be Yan Chuan." One of the soldiers pointed into the distance. "It's Hua Guang. He's coming alone. How dare he? Where's their silver armor? Why are they wearing such luxurious robes?" The soldiers around Zhao Kuo discussed among themselves. Zhao Kuo stared at Hua Guang who was galloping towards him. "Shoo!" Hua Guang stopped in front of the army. "Zhao Kuo! The Lord wants to pass through here, get out of the way." Hua Guang shouted. "Humph! Hua Guang, you injured my subordinates and stole my Hanshua horses. How dare you come to see me before I even look for you?" Zhao Kuo said coldly. "Robber? Bah! Are the Fergana horses yours, Zhao Kuo? The imperial family of the Great Yan dynasty has been cultivating these resources for generations. Due to the military situation in various regions, some of them were allocated to your military camp. If the Lord wants to use them, he can take them at any time. How did they become your, Zhao Kuo's?" Hua Guang shouted. "Humph! Since it's in my camp, it's mine." Zhao Kuo glared at Zhang Xian. "Your military camp does not belong to Great Yan. Are you not under the jurisdiction of the Lord and the Yan Emperor?" Hua Guang shouted. "Did you just make your debut? My Zhao army only belongs to the Zhao family. No one else belongs to us." Zhao Kuo shouted. "How dare you?" Hua Guang glared at Zhao Kuo and shouted. "Shoo! Shoo!" As soon as he shouted, the horses of Zhao Kuo's army immediately became restless. Some of the soldiers looked at Hua Guang with a changed expression. "Zhao Kuo, do you know how treacherous your words are? Are you trying to rebel on behalf of your Zhao family?" Hua Guang shouted. "Rebel? Humph! Today, I will kill all of you. None of you will be spared. What bullshit protector camp? What bullshit emperors equal? All of you will die." Zhao Kuo was enraged. "You dare to rebel?" Hua Guang glared at Zhao Kuo, his anger rising. "So what if I'm rebelling? If you die, who will know? Who dares to report me?" "Ha ha ha!" Zhao Kuo said arrogantly. Zhao Kuo's insolence had stirred up the courage of the soldiers as well. Ha ha ha. Chapter 137. Ha ha ha. The soldiers of the Zhao family army shouted in agreement. Just as the Zhao family army was being arrogant, a voice came from afar. "All lands under the heavens belong to the king, and all lands belong to the king. Those who rebel against the king shall be executed." The voice was powerful and dignified. Even though it was just one person's voice, it suppressed the mocking laughter of the 50,000 soldiers. Eh! The crowd stopped laughing. They looked in the direction of the voice. The one who spoke was the young man on horseback. Yan Chuan. Zhao Kuo looked in disdain. Yan Chuan was holding a longbow in his hand. He pulled the bowstring and aimed it at Zhao Kuo. Ha 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 ha, my lord, that Yen Chuan must be crazy. It's at least 2 li from here to his mountain. How can he pull the bowstring and aim it at you? A soldier laughed. Yes, there must be something wrong with his head. My lord, our 50,000 soldiers are making a mountain out of a molehill. The soldiers roared with laughter. For some reason, Zhao Kuo's hair stood on end. He felt a great sense of danger. How can this be? Zhao Kuo looked at the longbow in confusion. The longbow in Yen Chuan's hand was pulled more and more until it was a full moon. Lord, your arm is strong. Hua Guang praised. The first time Hua Guang pulled the bow, he only pulled it to a full moon. Quick, attack! Zhao Kuo shouted anxiously. Xiao! In the distance, Yen Chuan loosened his fingers. The shooting sun arrow turned into a golden ray of light and shot toward Zhao Kuo. Xiao! It was so fast that it made an ear-piercing sound. Protect the king! Protect the king! Zhao Kuo shouted. Huff! 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 The 15 soldiers quickly formed a human wall in front of Zhao Kuo. Pang! The shooting sun arrow crossed the distance of 2 li and appeared in the middle of the army. Boom! The front of the human wall exploded with a loud bang. The powerful explosive force of the shooting sun arrows instantly blew up the first 3 soldiers and pierced through the 4th soldier. Protect the emperor, protect! Do! Zhao Kuo panicked. Before he could finish his words, the shooting sun arrow nailed into his head. An arrow pierced through. Pa la! Zhao Kuo fell off his horse. This scene scared all the surrounding soldiers silly. The commander-in-chief was dead? He died just like that? That was 2 miles away. How could Yen Chuan's arrow shoot so far? Impossible. However, that wasn't the most frightening part. The most frightening part was the fact that the 12 soldiers had all fallen to the ground. A single arrow had pierced through 15 soldiers. How could it kill Zhao Kuo? No, this can't be true. A young general exclaimed in shock. The commander was shot dead, and the army was in an uproar. In the distance, Yen Chuan handed the longbow to Lu Jin. A look of indifference. Kill them all. Avenge the Grand Marshal. A young general shouted. Xiao! Another ray of light shot over. Boom! That young general was blasted apart. It was a soldier behind Yen Chuan. Although he couldn't fully draw the bowstring, he could still shoot from 2 li away. Behind Yen Chuan, 7 or 8 archers drew the bowstrings. The arrow shot toward the army of 50,000. The army of 50,000 and dozens of young generals were stunned. They didn't dare to move. They looked into the distance in shock and fear. Scram to the sides and get out of the way. Hua Guang shouted. Chapter 138. Whoosh! 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 The 50,000 soldiers moved to the side. Now that their commander was dead, no one dared to step forward. Hiya! 3,000 genie soldiers rode toward them from afar. When they got close, Yen Chuan pulled the reins and the horses stopped again. 2 genie soldiers quickly retrieved the shooting sun arrows. Sitting on his tall horse, Yen Chuan glanced at the young soldiers around Zhao Kuo. Zhao Kuo offended his superiors and was executed by me. Go back and tell Lord Zhao that the Yen dynasty still belongs to the Yen dynasty. Yen Chuan said coldly. Yes, yes. The soldiers said in fear. Let's go. Yen Chuan shouted. Hiya! 3,000 genie soldiers rode away on their horses, stirring up a cloud of dust. No one dared to stop them. Looking at the 3,000 genie soldiers leaving, one of the soldiers said, "We have 50,000 soldiers." Why? That's a Dharma treasure. Do you want to die? The commander was killed by an arrow. Who would die without an order? Then what should we do? Report to the patriarch, report everything that happened just now to the patriarch. The 3,000 genie soldiers went straight to Yanjin. They met many city guards on the way, but no one dared to stop them after they showed their identities. 8 days later, they finally arrived at Yanjing under the powerful speed of the Fergana horse. Yan Chuan stopped his horse and looked at the city gate. The words, Yanjin, were carved on the gate. However, the city gate was closed. Who are you? How dare you break into Yanjin? A guard on the gate shouted. Bastard! The emperor is here. Hurry up and greet him. Lu Jin glared at him. Emperor equal to the emperor? The faces of the guards on the city gate tower changed. Lord, the people outside the city said that he is the emperor. The guards bowed to a general who came in a hurry. The emperor? The general's face changed. General Lin, do you recognize me, Hua Guang? Hua Guang asked the general. Hua Guang. Aren't you? The general's expression changed. Cut the crap. The emperor is here. Hurry up and open the city gates. You actually closed the gates when you saw us coming. Do you think we're rebels? Hua Guang shouted. General Lin wiped his sweat and said to Yan Chuan, your humble servant greets the Lord. Has the five-nation talk started? Yan Chuan asked indifferently. Yes, in the Imperial City drill ground. General Lin replied immediately. Then hurry up and open the door. Hua Guang shouted. Lord, please wait for a moment. I will report this to His Majesty. Bastard, how dare you stop the Lord? Hua Guang glared at him. Hua Guang, break the door. Let's go in. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Understood. Hua Guang replied. Hua Guang took the lead. The sky splitter spear in his hand suddenly emitted a silver light. Hong! The city gate was blasted open, and the entire city tower shook violently. The soldiers on the city wall were shaken to the point of staggering. Hiya! Yan Chuan took the lead and rode his horse into the city. Giddy up! Giddy up! 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army followed closely behind. How is this possible? General Lin cried out in shock. General Hua. One shot. He broke the city gate with just one spear. 3,000 embroidered army, how tyrannical. Emperor equal to the emperor? The new emperor's equal is still the emperor's equal. Discussions broke out on the city gate tower. Emperor alongside the emperor is back. Emperor alongside the emperor is back. As the 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army galloped on their horses, the news of the emperor's equal's return spread like a gust of wind across the entire Yanjing. All the major forces in Yanjing that were like a pool of stagnant water suddenly turned upside down. Countless people heard the news and moved. Chapter 139. Yanjing, in a luxurious mansion. A man in a luxurious robe passed through the corridors and rushed to a large hall. There were a few servants at the entrance of the hall and they quickly surrounded him. Master, the person is already waiting in the main hall, but he's extremely arrogant. This lowly one. The leader of the servants reported. Shut up. Don't be rude. The man in the luxurious robe glared. Yes. The servant shivered and immediately stopped talking. Everyone, leave. Don't disturb me and the guest. The man in the luxurious robe said. Yes. The servants quickly left. The man in the luxurious robe tidied his clothes and stepped into the hall. A white-clothed woman wearing a white veil and a bamboo hat sat in the hall. Her face couldn't be seen clearly, but her figure was extremely voluptuous. Her breasts and buttocks were extremely feminine. However, she was dressed in simple and elegant white clothes, which made her look both elegant and seductive at the same time. It was very impactful. Although she didn't take off her bamboo hat, her appearance was enough to make countless men hot. Chongqing greets the eldest miss. The man in the luxurious robe didn't have a blasphemous expression, only respect. The woman held a cup of tea in her hand and put it down. Then, she gently took off her bamboo hat. When the bamboo hat was taken off, a beautiful face was revealed. Her skin was whiter than snow, her eyebrows were thin like willows, her lips were delicate, her nose was exquisite, and her neck was slender. Coupled with the beauty mark under her left eye, she made people feel an inexplicable desire. However, her clear eyes were like an iceberg, blocking people from 1,000 miles away. This woman didn't say anything, but just her appearance showed the difference between ice and fire. Chongqing, in just a few years, you've already become the Prime Minister of the Yen state? Well done. The woman smiled faintly. This smile was like 100 flowers blooming. Even though Chongqing respected her, he was slightly stunned. Chongqing quickly lowered his head and blushed. He didn't dare to look at the woman. Eldest miss, you're too kind. It's just the mortal world's imperial court. I've been here for a few years already. How can I be mediocre? Chongqing said humbly. Mortal world? Hee, father sent the few of you into the mortal world's imperial court to gather all kinds of information about the imperial court. How are you doing? The woman asked. Chongqing naturally wouldn't dare to forget what the headmaster instructed me to do. I've organized all kinds of information about the mortal world into a book so that First Miss can bring it back to the academy and hand it over to the headmaster, Chongqing said solemnly. That's good. The woman nodded in satisfaction. First Miss, will it be of any use to the academy if we enter the imperial court of the mortal world? Chongqing asked in confusion. The woman sighed softly. There are 4 great academies in the world. Although our Julu Academy dominates the entire world, the academy is ultimately just a foil to the other great sections. Our luck is saturated and we can't advance any further. Although no one dares to offend us, we still feel like we're living under someone else's roof. The Grand Assembly was, in fact, a wedding dress for others. Once the world is in chaos, the academy will be the first to bear the brunt. In order to protect himself, he had no choice but to strengthen himself. Father searched for ancient books all over the world and finally found a few words in an ancient book. The woman said in a deep voice. An ancient book? That's right. Although it was just a few words, it gave Father a glimmer of hope. I hope that the few of you can find the hope of the Academy's prosperity in the various imperial courts. The woman said solemnly. Don't worry, eldest Mississippi. We'll do our best. Chongqing said solemnly. Well, you've been in the Yen state for the past few days. What do you think of the Yen state? The woman asked curiously. Chapter 140. Chongqing thought for a while and said, I don't understand the intricacies of it. The imperial court has its own complexities. Take the Yen state for example. There are all kinds of forces in the open, in the dark, and hidden. Oh? Tell me about it. The woman smiled. The first is the Yen Emperor. He's the leader of the country. The second is the Zhao family. They control 30% of the Yen state's military power. There are even some things that I can't see through. These two parties are the ones with the greatest authority and strength. Chongqing introduced. What else? The woman continued. The third party is an old man waiting to die. Oh? His name is Yifeng. He's the imperial tutor of 3 dynasties. He's very capable, but he's now a shriveled old man. He's 92 years old and not far from death. He's already retired. But this person has disciples and old friends all over the Yen state. His disciples and old friends are in all the major forces. Old friends. Although he doesn't have any power, he's very famous. Oh? Old man? Yes. If he was still in the imperial court, how could I become the prime minister in such a short time? I've checked his information. He's a legend. When he was young, he was just a chess player. His talent was so strong that in 3 years, he defeated all the famous chess players in the Yen state. After that, he entered the imperial court and assisted 3 generations of emperors, doubling the territory of the Yen kingdom. At the age of 70, he resigned and retired. He did not allow his descendants to enter the imperial court and only allowed them to enter the business world. Under his guidance, he became the richest man in the Yen kingdom in just 10 years. Oh? He's very capable. He's very capable. Unfortunately, there's one thing that he can't change. What? Foundation. Yifeng's foundation is extremely poor. Even back then, Yen Tao of Yen country found pills from the cultivation world for him, but they couldn't increase his cultivation. His cultivation speed is as slow as a tortoise's, and his foundation is as rusty as copper. What a pity. What a pity. The woman nodded. Of course, there are also some small factions, small clans, and people with small reputations. I won't introduce them. The last person I want to introduce has a very special identity. The great Yen state's king, Yen Chuan. Chongqing said after some thought. Yen Chuan. That's right. This person was blessed by his father. His father used to be the emperor of the Yen state. Later on, he entered the world of cultivation. Now that he is dead, he inherited the title of nobility. His status is equal to that of the Yen emperor. Unfortunately, he has no power or influence. All he has is the highest status. Chongqing said regretfully. You've seen this person before? No, but it puzzles me. He is 17 years old this year and lives in seclusion in the mountains. However, some time ago, he sent the corpse of the eldest son of the Zhao clan to the Yen emperor. I don't know if it was intentional or not. It's hard to say. There are people you can't see through. Chongqing really doesn't dare to talk nonsense since I haven't seen him before. Chongqing laughed. Ta! 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 Suddenly, the sound of horse hooves came from outside. The sound seemed to come from the entrance of the Prime Minister's residence. Ha! Chongqing frowned. What's wrong? First young miss, today is the Five-Nation talk. Horse riding is prohibited in the city. However, this sound seems to be quite a lot. Chongqing said with a frown. 3,005 horses. The woman reported the number. First young miss has good hearing. Chongqing admires you. Chongqing said with a smile. I'm just a little better at counting. Go and ask. The woman said with a smile. Okay. Chongqing answered. Servants. Chongqing shouted outside. Soon, the servant from earlier ran in. The woman put on her bamboo hat at the right time. Chapter 141. What's going on outside? Chongqing asked. Master, the Emperor Equals is back. The Emperor Equals? Yes, one of my family's servants was at the city gate. 3,000 soldiers from the Protector's battalion are all wearing luxurious robes and riding on Fergana horses. Their leader destroyed the city gate with a single thrust of his spear, and 3,000 of them entered the city. Oh? The Emperor Equals? The woman asked curiously. It's the Yen Chuan that I mentioned earlier. He's Yen Tao's son. Chongqing explained. Yen Tao's son. Yen Tao. He was a hero of his generation at the Heavenly Bestowment Conference. What a pity. However, like father like son. Let's go and take a look. The woman smiled. If you're interested, then let's go. Chongqing smiled. Yen Capital, Imperial Palace, Crown Prince Palace. Crown Prince Yen Wudi was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. Opposite him, the Dugu Sword Emperor stared at Yen Wudi and carefully supervised Yen Wudi's cultivation. How can you practice swordsmanship when your heart is not calm? The Dugu Sword Emperor said. Yen Wudi slowly opened his eyes and looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Master, today is the Five Nations Summit. It's held once every 20 years. I'm worried about my father. You've already stepped into the cultivation world. The mortal world has nothing to do with you anymore. What are you worried about? Moreover, the three consecrators who went with you to the Feng Shui formation have all reached the essence state after absorbing the dragon qi. With them around, what are you worried about? The Dugu Sword Emperor said. Master. You're right, Master. Yen Wudi's eyebrows relaxed slightly. That poison master fled to this area to recuperate. I can feel it. After I kill Poison Master, I'll bring you to my Dugu clan. Dugu Jianwang said in a deep voice. Master, who is that poisoner? Yen Wudi asked curiously. A Feng Shui master. At the same time, he is also your master's mortal enemy. The Dugu Sword Emperor glared at him. Death grudge? Yen Wudi nodded. Report. Suddenly, a Jiaohu voice came from outside the hall. Yen Wudi looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor, and the Dugu Sword Emperor nodded. Come in. Yen Wudi shouted. Soon, a guard rushed in. Reporting to the Crown Prince, the Emperor's equal has returned to the capital, and he even brought the June Protector camp back with him. He's been rampaging in the capital. The guard reported. Emperor equal to the Emperor? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked in confusion. Master, the Emperor equal to the Emperor is that Uncle Wang. You saw him in the formation last time, Yen Chuan. Yen Wudi explained. Yen Chuan. The Dugu Sword Emperor's expression changed slightly. The last time they met, Yen Chuan had left a deep impression on the Dugu Sword Emperor. Yen capital, outside the palace, at the gate of the drill ground. Shoo! With a pull of the reins, the 3,000 Fergana horses suddenly neighed, and the sound spread in all directions. Yen Chuan's horse stood at the front. Sitting on the tall horse, Yen Chuan looked at the group of armed soldiers in front of him. Who are you? Get down from your horse and surrender. The leader shouted. Are you blind? This is the Emperor equal to the Emperor. Why aren't you paying your respects? Lu Jin's hoarse voice suddenly sounded. The Emperor equal to the Emperor? The faces of the soldiers changed. Lu Jin quickly took out a token. The token was purple and gold, and the words Emperor equal to the Emperor were engraved on it. We pay our respects to the Lord. Everyone immediately bowed. How long has the five-nation talk been going on? Yen Chuan asked indifferently. It has been 2 days and 2 nights. The leader said truthfully. Who came? Yen Chuan asked. Zheng, Chu, Korea, and Wei. The crown prince came in person, and the consecrators of each country and their respective armies. The leader said truthfully. Oh? Zheng's consecrators are also here. Is Lu Gang here? Yen Chuan asked with a smile. They are here. Zhang's people are very arrogant this time. Before the five-nation talk, they even injured a few of our brothers. The leader frowned. Arrogant? Haha, get out of the way. I want to go in. Yen Chuan laughed. The leader looked at Yen Chuan and thought about it with a frown. In the end, he did not dare to stop him. Yes. Lord, old slave, go and prepare your seat. Lu Jin asked. Go. Yen Chuan nodded in understanding. 500 men, follow me. Lu Jin looked at the embroidered uniform army. Yes. A young general answered. Giddy up. The soldiers split into 2 groups. Yen Chuan led the 2,500 embroidered uniform army soldiers to the drill ground. Lu Jin led the 500 embroidered uniform army soldiers to the imperial palace. Chapter 142. Yen Capital Drill Ground. The ground was paved with white stones and surrounded by high walls. Inside the walls was a huge drill ground. There were 5 different types of armor on the drill ground. They stood behind the 5 forces. In the north, Yen Emperor sat on the dragon throne in his dragon robe. Beside him stood a group of Yen state officials. In front of him was a large amount of delicious food and wine. However, no one was in the mood to pay attention to the fine wine. Instead, they were anxiously looking at the center of the drill ground. In the center of the drill ground, there were two powerhouses fighting each other. Red and blue light bloomed from their bodies. The battle was fierce and there was no clear winner. On the east side, there was another force. Among them was Zheng's exalted priest Lu Gang. Clearly, this party was Zheng's representative. One of them wore a four-clawed dragon robe. He was the crown prince of the state of Zheng. However, the crown prince of the state of Zheng did not seem to be the leader of this group. Lu Gang sat next to the crown prince of the state of Zheng. Lu Gang, on the other hand, was talking to a middle-aged man. "Third senior brother, I heard that you've reached the Qi state." Lu Gang whispered. "That's right. A few months ago, when you and Master went to the Feng Shui array, I reached the Qi state. The Qi state feels different." The middle-aged man said proudly. "That's right. Third senior brother is a genius. I've admired you for a long time. If there's anything I don't understand in the future, please enlighten me." Lu Gang said. "Ha ha ha, we're brothers. That's what I should do." The third senior brother said with satisfaction. "I heard that senior brother has two great demon pets. One of them is this three-colored divine bull. It has boundless strength and boundless power. It's several times stronger than my previous demon snake." Lu Gang looked at the giant bull behind him and said. "Your demon snake? Hiss! How can it compare to my sacred bull? Although we're both in the Qi state, 10 demon snakes are no match for my sacred bull." The third senior brother said disdainfully. That's right. And I heard that there's another demon pet. It's actually a rare flying demon beast. Even eldest senior brother is endlessly envious." Lu Gang exclaimed. "Ha ha ha. That's right. Eldest senior apprentice brother's strength is stronger than mine. But in terms of demon pets, I'm indeed endlessly envious every time I see my bat god." Third senior apprentice brother said complacently. "Where is bat god?" Lu Gang asked. "I ordered it to look for food. Don't worry about it." Third senior brother smiled. Third senior brother's demonic beasts can be raised at will. It can be seen that third senior brother's ability to enslave demonic beasts has reached the acme of perfection. No one under Master's tutelage can surpass him. Lu Gang continued to flatter. Ha ha ha. Third senior brother was elated. As Lu Gang fawned on third senior brother, he looked at the center of the field. Speaking of which, the game between the 5 nations this time is a little different from what I imagined. Third senior brother looked at the battle in the center of the field and said in a deep voice. "Oh? Why does third senior brother say that?" Lu Gang asked doubtfully. "I originally wanted to see that little bastard Yen Chuan. Unfortunately, he's not here." Third senior brother said regretfully. "Well, maybe he doesn't dare to come." Lu Gang smiled apologetically. "Also, didn't you say that the consecrators of each country are all in the Qi state? Why are there so many in the Qi state? Yen state has 3, Korea has 8, Chu state has 7, and Wei state has 8? Third senior brother asked doubtfully. "Them? They're the same as me." That day, they were brought into the Feng Shui formation by the ancestors of each dynasty. These people are also very lucky. When the dragon Qi finally erupted, it turned into thousands of small dragon Qi. These people may have gotten a share of it, so they're very lucky. Chapter 143. They have all reached the essence state. Lu Gang said after thinking for a while. So many essence state cultivators. It seems like Yen Emperor is going to have a headache. Third senior brother laughed. With Yen Tao dead, the Yen state is already at the end of its road. It's futile to struggle. Lu Gang glanced at Yan Emperor in disdain. The people of Zheng looked on coldly. The crown princes of Wei, Chu, and Han, as well as a group of experts, were seated on the east side, the west side, and the west side respectively. Everyone was staring at the battle in the center of the field. Boom! With a loud sound, the battle stopped abruptly. One person stood proudly in the center of the field, while the other person fell to the ground, covered in blood and unable to continue fighting. Old Zhang! Yan Emperor's expression changed. The two people beside him quickly went forward and helped the injured old Zhang up. The injured person stood up and said with shame, "Yan Emperor, I'm useless." "It's not your fault." Yan Emperor sighed. "Take Consecrator Zhang away to rest." Yan Emperor sighed. "Yes." Consecrator Zhang lost. The other person returned to the west side. Yan Emperor, 20 cities. I thank Emperor Yan on behalf of my father, and thank you on behalf of Great Chu. The Crown Prince of Chu said with a smile. Yan Emperor looked at the Crown Prince of Chu with a gloomy face. He clenched his fists. Yan Emperor, every 20 years, the 5 countries have a game of chess. We don't fight each other on the battlefield. It's a tradition. In the past, there were victories and losses, but this time, Yan State's luck is not good. The Crown Prince of Chu said with a smile. Not good? Not necessarily, it should be good luck. A Crown Prince on the west side laughed. Oh? Crown Prince of Han. Why do you say that? The Crown Prince of Chu was puzzled. Yan State has 212 cities. Losing to us 20 cities per dynasty is only 80 cities. The Yan State still has 132 cities. The Crown Prince of Han said with a smile. Ha! Everyone looked at the Crown Prince of Korea in confusion. The Crown Prince of Korea stared at Yan Emperor and said, Yan Tao is already dead, and the Yan State has already lost the protection of the Immortal sections. How can it be compared to our 4 dynasties? This time, we only lost 80 cities. This is the Yan State's great fortune, isn't it? That's right, we only lost 80 cities. Yan Emperor should be glad that we didn't bet too much at the beginning. On the other side, the Crown Prince of Wei Kingdom also agreed. Humph. Yan Emperor was so angry that his face turned green. 80 cities, 80 cities. Almost half of the Yan State had been lost in the past 2 days. Bastard, the Crown Prince of my dynasty has already entered the Celestial Sect. Who said that the Yan State does not have the protection of the Celestial Sect? A consecrator beside the Yan Emperor shouted. Yan State's Crown Prince? Just entered the Immortal Sect? Ha ha ha, Consecrator Wang, don't you know? The people of the Celestial Sect in the cultivation world pursue immortality. They don't care about the affairs of the mortal world, unless they are related by blood. Only then will they take care of their descendants. The Yan State's Crown Prince. Master Z is powerful, but so what? Will he help you to guard the country of Yan? The only thing you can wait for is for the Yan State's Crown Prince to mature. But he is just a mortal. Do you think it is possible for him to become an expert in such a short time? The Crown Prince of Korea said disdainfully. Yan Emperor stared at everyone, clenching his fists tightly. I, Yan Qiuyu, will abide by the rules of the 5 nations for hundreds of years. I will hand over the 80 cities as promised. The 5-nation talk is over. Everyone can leave now. Yan Emperor said with an ugly expression. Leave? Ha ha ha, Yan Emperor, it's over just like that? Lu Gang suddenly interrupted. Lu Gang. What do you mean? Yan Emperor said in a deep voice. Chapter 144. Nothing much. I just wanted to remind you that according to the agreement of the 5 states, if you lose, you can apply for a duel again. You can bet back. Lu Gang laughed. Yes, you can challenge us again. We are always ready. The Chu Crown Prince shouted. That's right. 80 cities. You don't want to bet back? The Crown Prince of Han laughed. I haven't had enough yet. At worst, we can bet less. Anyway, your Yen state has a lot of cities. If you lose them in the future, you might as well lose them today. Ha ha ha. The Crown Prince of Wei laughed. You're going too far. Yen Emperor slapped the dragon throne and scolded. Caw caw caw. The Yen state army raised their weapons. Humph, Yen Emperor, what are you trying to do? If you dare to attack us, you will be betraying the agreement. Our 4 states will attack your Yen state and completely destroy your Yen state. The Crown Prince of Jing glared. That's right. If I lose a single hair, I will bury the Yen state with me. The Crown Prince of Chu scolded. Yen Emperor, you can't. The subordinates stopped the angry Yen Emperor. Yen Emperor glared and suppressed the anger in his heart. He slowly sat down again. Ha 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 ha, Yen state? The former leader of the 5 states, Yen state? You can't even find someone you can use. Let me tell you. Consecrator Zhang, who lost to us just now, has already joined Chu. The Crown Prince of Chu sneered. What? Yen Emperor's eyes widened. Not far away, Consecrator Zhang, who was just brought down and covered in blood, suddenly stopped and turned his head. Crown Prince Chu, didn't you promise me that you won't say anything? Consecrator Zhang said with an ugly expression. What are you afraid of? Follow me from now on. You are a citizen of Chu. Who dares to touch you? The Crown Prince of Chu said proudly. But, Sai, all right. Consecrator Zhang nodded. Old Zhang, you. Yen Emperor stared at Consecrator Zhang in disbelief. Yen Emperor, you're very good to me, but the Yen state's power is gone. I've already reached the Essence Realm and will need to develop further in the future. Prince Chu said that he would introduce me to their old ancestor. I'm sorry. Consecrator Zhang smiled bitterly. Traitor, traitor. Yen Emperor shouted. Consecrator Zhang ignored him and walked towards Crown Prince Chu. His injuries seemed to have healed in the blink of an eye. Clearly, the injuries just now were all fake. Ha ha ha, Yen Emperor, do you still want to continue? Is there anyone in your Yen state who can compete with me? The Chu Crown Prince laughed. Your Majesty, I will fight it out with them. Your Majesty, I will fight it out with them. Your Majesty, please give the order. I'll do it. Some of the old officials of the Yen state asked to fight, but these old officials had white eyebrows and hair. How could they have the strength to fight? Yen Emperor closed his eyes and a trace of sadness flashed across his face. Ha ha ha. The Crown Princes laughed proudly. In the past, the 4 countries were suppressed by the Yen state. Now, the tables were turned. Even in the Yen state's home ground, Yen Emperor was suppressed by them. Are you going to compete or not? Yen Emperor, say something. The Crown Prince of Korea said sarcastically. Yeah, say something. Ha ha ha. Today, the Yen state was humiliated, but Yen Emperor couldn't do anything. He was very depressed. Some of Great Yan's officers and soldiers even secretly wiped away their tears. The hatred of national humiliation was like the hatred of stealing one's wife. But they couldn't do anything about it. How sad. Da. Suddenly, the sound of a large number of horses came from outside the drill ground. Ha! Everyone looked at the gate of the drill ground in confusion. Boom! The gate was slammed open. A large amount of smoke and dust rose. Neigh! Neigh! A series of horse neighs pierced the sky. The smoke and dust dissipated. A large group of embroidered uniform army rode in. Yen Chuan rode in the front and slowly came over. His eyes were shining as he looked at the group. The soldiers followed closely behind. Each of them was full of vigor and battle intent. Who are you? Don't you know where this place is? The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Chapter 145. Boom! The door was slammed open. Large amounts of smoke and dust were stirred up. Shoo! Shoo! A series of hoarse neighs pierced through the clouds. The smoke and dust dispersed. A large group of soldiers from the embroidered uniform army entered on horseback. Yan Chuan rode at the front, slowly approaching. His eyes shone brightly as he surveyed the group of people. The group of soldiers followed closely behind. All of them were brimming with vitality and battle intent. Who are you? Don't you know where this place is? The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Yan Emperor, what do you mean? Who are they? Don't tell me you want to go back on your word. The Crown Prince of Han said coldly. Yan Emperor frowned and looked at this group of people. The group of Yan state experts all looked on in confusion. They seemed to have guessed something, but they were not sure. Only Lu Gang of the state of Zheng narrowed his eyes. Ha ha ha, isn't this the Yan state's emperor equal to the emperor? You're finally willing to come out? Lu Gang said coldly. Emperor equal to the emperor? Yan Tao's son. Yan Chuan. The group of crown princes all revealed surprised expressions. They all carefully sized up Yan Chuan, who was sitting on the tall horse. Emperor equal to emperor? Some of the mighty ones from the Yan state showed a glimmer of hope. But soon, this glimmer of hope disappeared. After all, the emperor was only a 17-year-old boy. This group of embroidered uniform army, is it the Lord Protector Battalion? What was the point of coming here now? Yan Emperor frowned and looked at Yan Chuan. He didn't know why Yan Chuan was here. Yan Chuan's gaze swept across the area. He paid some attention to the three-colored divine bowl and glanced at Lu Gang's third senior brother, who was calmly drinking. After taking a look at the heads of the 5 nations, his gaze finally landed on Yan Emperor. Yan Qiuyu, why didn't you inform me about the 5-nation summit? Yan Chuan asked calmly. Ha! The 4 princes were slightly stunned. Calling Yan Emperor by his name? It wasn't just the people from the 4 nations. Even the experts from the Yan state were frowning at this moment. However, their anger disappeared in the blink of an eye. This was because in the Yan state, Yan Chuan was indeed qualified to address the Yan Emperor as Yan Qiuyu. His status was equal to that of the Yan Emperor. Naturally, he would address the Yan Emperor by his name. 300 years ago, Yan Tao abdicated his position to ancestor Yan Di. If it weren't for the fact that Yan Chuan had the status of Emperor equal to 1, he should still be Emperor Yan Emperor's senior. However, because of his status as Yan Emperor's equal, Yan Emperor could absolutely accept Yan Chuan calling him by his name. I thought I could solve it. Yan Emperor smiled bitterly. It doesn't matter. What's the result now? Yan Chuan didn't want to dwell on this matter anymore. Result? Ha ha ha, your Yan state lost 80 cities to our 4 nations. You're late. The Chu prince laughed. No, it's useless even if I'm early. The Korean prince said disdainfully. Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Late? Who said I'm late? As long as none of you leave, it's not late. Oh? You still want to bet? The Korean prince's eyes lit up. Yes, if you want to bet, you can continue. As long as you can represent the Yan state. The Chu prince said excitedly. The princes went to the Yan state today, and they also contributed to their respective nations. The more cities they obtained, the greater their contributions when they returned. Yan Chuan ignored the princes and looked at Lu Gang. Consecrator Lu, we meet again. Yan Chuan smiled. Yes, we meet again. Lu Gang also said coldly. Last time in the array, Jing lost 42 cities to me. Did you give it back? Yan Chuan asked with a smile. Chapter 146. Everyone looked at Lu Gang. Why does Zheng owe Yan state cities? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? How is that possible? Yen state is already at the end of its rope, and you still want to owe me 42 cities? Lu Gang said angrily. Ha ha ha, Lu Gang, think carefully before you speak. You didn't agree to give us 42 cities. If you dare to go back on your word, you'll be smearing King Mai's reputation. Do you dare to go back on your word? Yen Chuan glared at him. Do you dare to go back on your word? Yen Chuan emphasized those words. It was as if a sledgehammer was smashing down on Lu Gang. Lu Gang opened his mouth to argue, but when the words reached his mouth, he restrained himself. You. It's fine. The game between the 5 nations isn't over yet. Let's continue. You can bet your way back. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Is that true? The Chu Crown Prince looked at Lu Gang in surprise. Zhengou's Yen State cities? How is that possible? The Korean Crown Prince was also surprised. Lu Gang's face turned red, but he didn't refute. Dismount. Yen Chuan shouted. Yes. The embroidered uniform army replied. Rumble. Yen Chuan led more than 2,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers down from their horses. Dismounting, Yen Chuan stepped forward. He walked to the south of the arena. Hua Guang followed closely behind. He glared at everyone. Lu Gang, everyone from Zheng, sit down. I'm here. This is just the beginning. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Hiya. Hiya. The sound of horses galloping could be heard from the entrance of the arena. Lu Jin had returned. Lu Jin led 500 soldiers to the arena and dismounted. At the same time, several soldiers were carrying a huge object. The Dragon Throne? His Majesty's Dragon Throne? An old Yen state official exclaimed. What Lu Jin brought back was a 9 dragons heavenly throne. This dragon throne was much larger than the one Yen Emperor was sitting on. The first seat of the Yen state. The crowd of Yen state's old ministers was about to get angry, but halfway through, their anger was completely vented. The dragon throne was the symbol of the emperor and could not be tarnished by others. Apart from the emperor, no one could sit on it. However, the person in front of him was a king who stood shoulder to shoulder. His status was the same as Yen emperor's. What should he say? He was indeed qualified to sit on the dragon throne. Sigh. The group of old officials were at a loss for words. Yen Emperor narrowed his eyes and stared at the dragon throne that belonged to him. Quang! The dragon throne fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Lord! Lu Jin said respectfully. Yen Chuan nodded with satisfaction. Lifting his robe, Yen Chuan slowly sat down. One in the north and one in the south, the 2 dragon thrones were facing each other. Yen Emperor and Yen Chuan. The 2 people with the highest status in the Yen state were sitting side by side. The crown princes around had a strange expression. However, no one said anything. With one hand holding the Jade Emperor sword and the other on the armrest of the dragon throne, Yen Chuan closed his eyes and recalled. Yen Chuan, do you want to bet? Yen Chuan, can you represent the Yen state? The group of crown princes shouted. Yen Chuan opened his eyes slightly and glanced around. In the Yen state, I can represent everything in the Yen state. Yen Emperor frowned. He stared at Yen Chuan. However, after a while, Yen Emperor's brows relaxed. The previous humiliation of the crown princes had a great impact on Yen Emperor. Seeing that Yen Emperor did not object, the crown princes' faces were filled with joy. Okay, in that case, let's start. Chu Prince said excitedly. However, Yen Chuan did not even look at him. Instead, he said indifferently, Hua Guang. Chapter 147. Yes, Your Majesty. Hua Guang said. Your Majesty. Hua Guang was a subject, but that should be Yen Emperor's subject. To Yen Chuan, he should only address him as subordinate, or subordinate. Addressing himself as subject was only for the emperor. But now, Huguang was addressing himself as subject. This subject seemed to indicate something. Everyone looked at him in surprise. Yan Chuan also looked at Huguang. He stared at Huguang for a while. In the end, Yan Chuan did not object. Instead, he showed a gratified smile. On the other side, Yan Emperor did not feel so good. However, Yan Chuan's status was the same as his. At this moment, people from outside the imperial court were present, so Yan Emperor did not object. Only a group of old officials were at a loss at this moment. They did not know what to say. Go, challenge the experts of Zheng. According to the previous rules, a battle of 20 cities. Yan Chuan said lightly. This subject obeys the decree. Huguang replied. Huguang walked to the center of the field and smashed the sky-piercing spear into the ground. Boom! The stone floor cracked. Zheng, who dares to fight? Huguang roared. Yan capital, Crown Prince Palace. Oh, no, Crown Prince. A guard shouted again. Come in. Yan Wudi said in a low voice. The guard rushed into the hall and immediately shouted, Crown Prince, 500 people just came and took away the throne. 500 people? Bastard, where are the palace guards? Yan Wudi frowned. We can't stop them at all. The combat power of those 500 people is too strong. No, just 100 people defeated 1,000 guards. The guard said with an ugly expression. What? Oh, right, they said that they received the order of the emperor equal to 1. But it's impossible for the Lord Protector's battalion to be so powerful. The guard said in disbelief. Yan Chuan. The Dugu Sword Emperor was surprised. Master, it should be Uncle Wang. Yan Wudi said. The Dugu Sword Emperor smiled and said, that kid does have some skills. Come, let's go take a look. With a wave of his hand, he led Yan Wudi out of the Crown Prince Palace and into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the clouds. Ah! The Crown Prince's palace guards exclaimed as they looked up at the sky. He flew into the clouds and overlooked the entire Beijing. At the drill ground, Yan Wudi immediately saw Yan Chuan and his party. Standing in the air, Yan Wudi stared down at the drill ground, while the Dugu Sword Emperor narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. In the distance, above a white cloud. At this moment, 2 figures were standing there. They were the Yan State's Prime Minister, Chongqing, and a woman wearing a bamboo hat. Miss, the young man sitting on the dragon throne is Yan Chuan. Chongqing explained. Yes. The woman nodded. She seemed to have sensed something and looked into the distance. The Dugu Sword Emperor and the woman looked at each other, but neither of them responded to the other. They both looked down. Lu Gang didn't respond, but the Crown Prince of Chu shouted first. For this battle, my Chu state will go first. The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Consecrator Zhang, you just joined my Chu state. This battle is yours. The Crown Prince of Chu said to the Yan state's consecrator who had just surrendered. Yes. The consecrator stepped into the arena solemnly. Consecrator Zhang had witnessed Huguang's breakthrough. However, he was confident that he had more experience, so he accepted the challenge calmly. The moment Consecrator Zhang stepped out, Yan Chuan recognized him. Back then, in the Feng Shui formation, this person was following behind Yan Wudi. A consecrator of the Yan state had actually surrendered to Chu state. Treason. Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold. Huguang. Yan Chuan said indifferently. Your subject is here. Huguang looked at Yan Chuan respectfully. The surrounding princes looked at Yan Chuan in confusion. You are allowed to kill. Yan Chuan said in a heavy tone. Yes. Huguang said excitedly. The princes were stunned. Humph, shameless boasting. Kill? I wonder who will kill who. the Crown Prince of Chu said angrily. Chapter 148. Humph, shameless boasting. Kill? I wonder who will be the one to kill. The Prince of Chu said angrily. Yan Chuan ignored him. Holding the Jade Emperor sword, he looked around coldly and inadvertently glanced at third senior brother beside Lu Gang. Huaguang stared at Honorary Zhang and said, I, Huaguang, hate traitors the most. Traitor? Humph, I am just an honorary. I can stay and leave the Yan kingdom whenever I want. Honorary Zhang did not feel guilty at all. The Yan kingdom has raised you for so many years, and this is how you repay them. Even if you raise a dog, you will know loyalty. And you are worse than a dog. Huaguang shouted. You dare to call me a dog? Kid, you are courting death. Honorary Zhang glared. He waved the long sword in his hand, and a blue sword light appeared and pierced towards Huaguang. Humph. Huaguang glared and pulled out the long spear from the ground. Die! Huaguang shouted angrily. He took a step forward, and with a twist of his foot, he exerted force, and a large number of cracks appeared on the ground. Wang! The long spear emitted a white light and collided with the blue sword light. Boom! The two weapons collided, and Honorary Zhang's long sword suddenly broke into two. How can this be? Honorary Zhang exclaimed. At this moment, Huaguang glared, and the army destroyer will appeared again, and a fierce murderous aura shot towards Honorary Zhang. The murderous aura was so strong that it shook Honorary Zhang's mind. Chi! The long spear suddenly pierced through Honorary Zhang's chest, and blood splattered everywhere. The battle stopped, and only the sound of blood dripping from the tip of the spear could be heard. Everyone around looked surprised. No one expected the battle to end so quickly, and before anyone could react, it was over. Dead? So fast? One round. Just one round? The Prince of Chu looked at Honorary Zhang in disbelief. Honorary Zhang's chest was pierced, but he was not completely dead. He stared at Huaguang, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. What kind of spear is this? Consecrator Zhang asked weakly. The gun that killed the old dog. Huaguang said coldly. With a shake of his hand, the long spear trembled violently. Boom! Consecrator Zhang exploded, his flesh and blood splattering all over the ground. His death was extremely tragic, and the scene was extremely bloody. The head rolled to the feet of the Crown Prince of Chu, who retreated in fear. Ah! The Crown Prince of Chu was so scared by Consecrator Zhang's head that he fell to the ground. Ha ha ha! The Yan state soldiers all burst into laughter. No matter what, Huaguang was, after all, the representative of Great Yan. Therefore, all the captains and soldiers were extremely excited at the moment. Yan Di narrowed his eyes and stared at Huaguang. How great would it be if this person were my subject? Yan Emperor sighed in his heart. The crown princes of the four dynasties all wore unsightly expressions. Huaguang killed Consecrator Zhang with a single spear strike and looked in Zheng's direction again. Huaguang, challenge Zheng again. Huaguang shouted. As Huaguang approached, the crown prince of Zheng's expression changed. The other consecrators behind him all wore unsightly expressions. They wanted to step forward, but Consecrator Zhang's death was too tragic. Who would be willing to die? 1 round, just 1 round. The crown prince of Zheng was about to point out the consecrator. Lu Gang suddenly stopped the crown prince and shook his head lightly. Third senior brother, this person is Huaguang. He ruined Master's plan in the formation and stole the will of the Alcate Star. Lu Gang introduced him to his third senior brother who was drinking wine. No wonder. Humph, since he dared to ruin Master's plan, you can go and teach him a lesson. Third senior brother said while drinking wine. But he has the will of the Alcate Star. I'm worried. Lu Gang showed a hint of embarrassment. You can't beat him. Third senior brother said disdainfully. Chapter 149. Yes, I can't beat him. Lu Gang admitted defeat. Third senior brother. Bring my three-colored sacred bull up. Third senior brother said helplessly. Thank you, third senior brother. Lu Gang said excitedly. Jingguo, does anyone dare to fight? Hua Guang shouted again. I'll do it. Lu Gang suddenly shouted. As he spoke, Lu Gang stepped forward. Honorable Lu. It's been a long time. Hua Guang waved his spear and said in a low voice. According to my information, you were only at level 6 of the power realm last year. I didn't expect you to reach the essence realm in such a short time. What a heaven-defying luck. Lu Gang said with jealousy in his eyes. Don't talk nonsense. Since you're willing to fight, let's begin. Hua Guang shouted. Moo! Behind Jingguo, the two-story tall bull let out a roar and stepped forward. Boom! 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 The sacred bull stepped on the ground and the earth rumbled. Lu Gang, what's the meaning of this? Hua Guang shouted. Nothing. This sacred bull is my beast pet. Naturally, it will fight with me. If you have any beasts, you can invite them out. Lu Gang smiled. The sacred bull glared at Lu Gang. It was obviously angry that Lu Gang called it his beast pet. Three-colored sacred bull, don't be rude. Third senior brother shouted from behind. Only then did the sacred bull unwillingly acknowledge Lu Gang. High up in the sky. Shameless. Master, this Jingguo is too shameless. Yen Wudi said anxiously. The Dugu Sword Emperor stared down. The spear in Hua Guang's hand is actually the sky-splitting spear. No, the 3,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers all have sky-splitting spears. Where did this Yen Chuan find so many? Master, what did you say? Yen Wudi was puzzled. Let's wait and see. Yen Chuan obviously came prepared. On the other side of the clouds. This is Yen Chuan. You said he's 17. The woman asked doubtfully. Yeah, I find it strange. He seems to be a little too arrogant. Chongqing shook his head. Arrogant? No, I feel like he's referring to something else. The woman pondered for a moment. Below. The divine bull stepped onto the stage and charged towards Hua Guang. Men! Yen Chuan suddenly shouted. Here! The embroidered uniform army suddenly shouted. This beast is interfering with Hua Guang's fight. Kill it! Yen Chuan shouted. Kill him! Killing demonic beasts? How could this be? Everyone looked at him in surprise. Ha ha ha, Yen Chuan, you want to kill the three-colored divine cow? Dream on, the three-colored divine bull is invulnerable, who can harm it? Don't anger the three-colored divine bull, it will trample you to death. If that happens, I won't be able to stop it. Lu Gang laughed and shouted from afar. Caw caw caw. The embroidered uniform army did not listen to Lu Gang's nonsense. About 10 of them suddenly pulled their heaven-shocking bows. Bang! 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 10 sun-shooting arrows suddenly turned into 10 streaks of light and shot towards the three-colored divine bull. Boom! 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 The sun-shooting arrows were all stuck in the three-colored divine bull's body. Half of the arrow tails were left behind. The so-called invulnerability was actually unable to block 10 arrow feathers. Moo! The three-colored divine bull let out a long cry of pain. At the same time, it was enraged. What? How is this possible? Lu Gang and the third senior brother both revealed looks of shock. The skin of the three-colored divine bull was not something that could be pierced by mortal weapons. Moo! The three-colored divine bull roared angrily and turned to look in Yen Chuan's direction. Chapter 150. The beast's skin is thick. Shoot its eyes. 1,000 archers, shoot! Yen Chuan shouted. Yes. The 1,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers drew their bows again. Shoot! Yan Chuan shouted. Stop! Third senior brother shouted. Bang! 1,000 shooting sun arrows shot toward the tricolored sacred bowl. Boom! Boom! The tricolored sacred bowl was knocked to the ground by the rain of arrows. Its body was full of arrows, and 2 shooting sun arrows were stuck in its eyes. Blood flowed out of its eyes. Moo! Moo! The tricolored sacred bowl cried out in pain. Rumble! The tricolored sacred bowl rolled on the ground and pounced toward Yan Chuan, enduring the pain all over its body. Don't go! Lu Gang shouted. Clang! Huaguang waved his spear and blocked Lu Gang. Rumble! The tricolored sacred bowl was about to reach him. Shoot! Bang! Another 1,000 arrows were shot, and the tricolored sacred bowl's speed decreased. However, its huge body was about to reach Yan Chuan. Its body was full of arrows, and its eyes were shot blind. The tricolored sacred bowl charged toward Yan Chuan in a frenzy. It was as if it wanted to kill the culprit. Die! The embroidered uniform army soldiers quickly stabbed the sacred bowl with their spears. Moo! Boom! The sacred bowl was very strong. When its body collided, the embroidered uniform army soldiers were sent flying. The sacred bowl seemed to have locked onto Yan Chuan. After colliding with the embroidered uniform army soldiers, it charged toward Yan Chuan. Humph! Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold. The Jade Emperor's sword in his hand suddenly trembled and let out a crisp buzzing sound. Buzz! He stepped forward to meet the sacred bowl. High in the sky. The Dugu Sword Emperor glared. Vibrating sword? How does he know how to vibrate sword? Master, what is vibrating sword? Yen Wudi asked doubtfully. Yes, it's that vibrating sword. This is a profound sword technique that allows the sword to vibrate at a high frequency, making it invincible. The Dugu Sword Emperor exclaimed. Invincible? Yen Wudi asked in disbelief. That's right. This method of wielding the sword is very difficult to achieve, but once you do, the power of the sword will increase exponentially. Don't underestimate the vibrating sword. In theory, when the vibrating frequency of ordinary metal reaches a certain level, it can cut through immortal equipment. The Dugu Sword Emperor said solemnly. Ha! Yen Wudi opened his mouth in shock. On the other side of the sky. As expected, I knew that this Yan Chuan's goal was definitely not some competition. The woman laughed. Not a duel? Then why did they send Huaguang up? Chongqing was puzzled. Just watch. It's about to get interesting, the woman said with a smile. Below. Yan Chuan's Jade Emperor sword suddenly stabbed forward. Buzz! The vibrations of the Jade Emperor sword became more and more intense. Moo! The sacred bull roared. You're courting death. On the other side, the third senior brother showed a hint of disdain. He originally wanted to go forward, but seeing that the sacred bull was about to crush Yan Chuan to death, the third senior brother stopped. As for Yan Chuan's sword, it would definitely not be able to pierce through the sacred bull's skin. The third senior brother could clearly see that Yan Chuan's cultivation was only at LV9 of the power realm. Just the power realm. Boom! Yan Chuan and the sacred bull collided, and the Jade Emperor's sword pierced the sacred bull's heart. Tisk! The invulnerable cowhide was actually pierced by the Jade Emperor's sword with a single stab. Furthermore, it instantly pierced deep into it. Moo! The sacred bull roared in pain. How is this possible? The third senior brother exclaimed. What kind of weapon is that? Is this demonic bull an empty shell? It must be an empty shell. Otherwise, how could it not block the arrow and the sword? Everyone around revealed a puzzled expression. Yan Chuan stabbed the sacred bull's heart, and the sacred bull could no longer move. After killing the bull, Yan Chuan was about to pull out the Jade Emperor sword. Yan Chuan raised his eyebrows. Gulp. Gulp, the Jade Emperor sword made a strange sound. Drinking blood? The Jade Emperor sword is drinking blood? Yan Chuan looked at the sword hilt in surprise. Chapter 151. Drinking blood? The Jade Emperor's sword is drinking blood? Yan Chuan looked at the sword hilt in shock. Gulp, gulp. The Jade Emperor's sword was absorbing the blood of the tricolor sacred bowl. Moreover, as it drank the blood, the sword hilt turned red. An evil aura was emitted from the sword hilt. The evil aura of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus? No, it's not the evil aura. This evil aura has mutated. Yan Chuan's face changed. Qi. Yan Chuan pulled out the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword was originally black, but now it had turned bright red. The Jade Emperor's sword was emitting a bloody mist. At the sword hilt, a stream of energy was being injected into Yan Chuan's body. Yan Chuan's eyes widened. With a shake of his hand, the bloody mist was dispersed. The energy that was being injected into Yan Chuan's body was also dispersed by Yan Chuan. The Jade Emperor's sword is drinking blood and absorbing the power of blood and chi essence? And it's even giving me some of it? Is the sword turning into a demon? Yan Chuan frowned as he looked at the Jade Emperor's sword in his hand. I understand now. The Iron Jade's essence has been contaminated by the evil aura of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus and mutated. Unfortunately, the chi essence you are giving me is too evil. I can't use it. Buzz. The Jade Emperor's sword trembled slightly. My second Emperor's sword is actually an evil sword? Yan Chuan's face revealed a strange expression. Tricolor. A sorrowful voice came from afar. An angry roar resounded throughout the drill ground. Yan Chuan immediately came to his senses. Now was not the time to be entangled with the Jade Emperor's sword. He raised his head and looked at the angry third senior brother. Lu Gang's third senior brother Zhou Che blew a gust of wind in all directions. His powerful aura forced the people around him to stagger. Whoosh! Third senior brother Zhou Che rushed towards him in the blink of an eye. Shoot! A large number of shooting sun arrows shot towards third senior brother Zhou Che. Bang! A wall of chi suddenly appeared around third senior brother, and all the arrows stopped one zhang away from third senior brother. Qi Jing! Yan Chuan squinted his eyes and stepped back. Third senior brother stroked the three-colored divine bull. However, the three-colored divine bull had already lost all signs of life. It was dead. Dead, he's actually dead. Third senior brother's eyes were filled with rage. He suddenly turned his head and looked coldly at Yan Chuan. You killed my demon pet. I want you to be buried with him. Third senior brother said in a cold tone. Caw caw caw. The 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army drew their bows. High in the sky. Master, is that person really in the Qi Jing stage? Yen Wuди asked anxiously. That's right. To be able to form a Qi wall, he should be in the Qi realm. However, he should have just reached the Qi realm not too long ago. The Dugu Sword Emperor nodded. Strength state, essence state, Qi state. That person is 2 levels higher than Uncle Wang. Master, why don't you help Uncle Wang? Yen Wudi asked worriedly. The Dugu Sword Emperor squinted his eyes and looked down. A flash of confusion appeared in his eyes. However, after seeing his disciples pleading, the Dugu Sword Emperor nodded and said, If Yan Chuan is in danger, I will save him. Thank you, Master. Yen Wudi nodded. On the other side, Chongqing and the girl were also looking down. Young mistress, that person is definitely in the Qi Jing stage? Could it be that Yan Chuan? Chongqing asked in disbelief. That's right. Yan Chuan purposely angered this Qi Jing master. The girl nodded. But Yan Chuan can't possibly know him. Of all the people here, Yan Chuan has only seen the portraits of Yan Emperor. It must be a coincidence that this Qi Jing master is here today. Chongqing frowned. Are you sure that Yan Chuan has never seen him before? The girl asked in surprise. Chapter 152. Absolutely not. He came here by chance. Chongqing said confidently. But from the beginning, I felt that Yan Chuan pretended to inadvertently glance at him a few times. This person's cultivation is the highest here. Yan Chuan paid attention to him as soon as he entered the drill ground, unless what? Unless Yan Chuan has amazing eyesight and could see through this person's cultivation level the moment he entered the drill ground. The lady said. How is that possible? Didn't you say that Yan Chuan is at LV9? He is at LV9. But some people can see through others even if they have no cultivation level. Yan Chuan is only 17. He shouldn't be so powerful. Chongqing said in disbelief. Let's wait and see. The lady said seriously. Below. Yan Chuan was protected by 3,000 Brocade-E army soldiers. Shoot! Lu Jin shouted. Boom! 3,000 shooting sun arrows shot toward third senior brother like a meteor shower, fiercely crashing into him. Humph! Third senior brother snorted. A strong wind blew around him and a strong chi wall appeared again. Boom! 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 Although the shooting sun arrows were powerful, they were still blocked by the strong chi wall. However, 3,000 shooting sun arrows were too many. It was like a wall of arrows hitting third senior brother. Rumble. Even someone in the Qi realm was pushed back more than 30 meters by the rain of arrows. The rain of arrows came one after another, leaving no gaps. Third senior brother was powerful, but he could only set up the Qi wall to block the rain of arrows. Shooting sun arrows. They are all shooting sun arrows? Third senior brother was surprised. Although 3,000 shooting sun arrows couldn't hurt third senior brother, it made him realize that this army was not as easy to bully as he thought. They were not ants. Gradually, his anger was suppressed. Third senior brother calmed down and looked at the army in front of him seriously. Not far away, Lu Gang opened his mouth in shock. He didn't expect the powerful third senior brother to be suppressed. Stop! Yan Chuan abruptly roared. Ha! The 3,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers looked at Yan Chuan in confusion, but they still obeyed and quickly stopped shooting. At this moment, third senior brother had already suppressed his anger and coldly looked at Yan Chuan, who was being protected. Similarly, a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. He didn't understand why Yan Chuan had stopped. Get out of the way! Yan Chuan shouted at the embroidered uniform army in front of him. Yes! The members of the embroidered uniform army slowly moved aside in confusion, allowing Yan Chuan to face third senior brother. It was as if the door was wide open, giving third senior brother an excellent opportunity to kill him. At this moment, if third senior brother were to attack, he would definitely be able to kill Yan Chuan in the blink of an eye. However, third senior brother didn't make a move. He just held his sword and looked coldly at Yan Chuan. He couldn't tell what Yan Chuan's intentions were. What is he doing? Send himself to death? No, he has 3,000 heaven-shocking bows, he can block me for a while, but why did he give up? Could there be another scheme? Thoughts flashed through third senior brother's mind, and he hesitated for a moment. High up in the sky. The woman exclaimed, amazing. What? Chongqing asked in confusion. This Yan Chuan is not simple. He has controlled his opponent's emotions. The woman said with certainty. Manipulation? How is that possible? What does Miss mean? Chongqing still did not understand. In a short period of time, Yan Chuan has planted an emotion in that person's heart. What emotion? Suspicious. The woman said with certainty. Suspicious? Rooted emotions? Chongqing doesn't understand, please enlighten me, Mississippi, it's normal that you don't understand. I also heard father mention it not long ago. Some true experts are not in martial arts, but in their temperament. No matter how strong the opponent is, once they control the opponent's emotions, they will be in an invincible position. The woman explained. Chapter 153. For example, just now, if Yan Chuan attacked that person right from the start, do you think he would hesitate as he did now? The woman asked. If it was me, I definitely wouldn't. Although Yan Chuan has 3,000 sky-shattering bows, he can't hurt me at all. If I was in the Qi state, I would be able to take Yan Chuan's head in a flurry of arrows. Why would I hesitate? Yeah, why would I hesitate? But he hesitated again. The woman sighed. Why? Yan Chuan killed his pet first, igniting his anger and messing up his mind. Then, 3,000 shooting sun arrows were shot together, showing the power to suppress him. Shaking his mind. First, he messed up his mind, then shook his mind. After this process, many people thought they had calmed down. But the calmness now is different from the calmness at the beginning. The woman said. Messing up his mind, then shaking his mind. Although you've calmed down, you're still suspicious. Chongqing was enlightened. That's right, it adds a sense of suspicion. Plus, now that Yan Chuan is wide open and has removed his defense, it made him even more suspicious. The woman said. Yan Chuan can't have thought so much in such a short time. Chongqing's face twitched in disbelief. But that's the truth. But, Yan Chuan is only in the strength state. So what if he hesitated? How can a strength state defeat a Qi state? Chongqing said in disbelief. I don't know either. Keep watching. The woman shook her head. Below, Yan Chuan was wide open, facing third senior brother. Ha 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 ha, initial Qi state? You're King Mai's disciple. Yan Chuan laughed. His laughter was full of sarcasm. Seeing Yan Chuan's arrogant attitude, third senior brother hesitated even more. But his opponent was only in the strength state. That's right. But you killed my pet, so you must die today. Third senior brother said coldly. I must die. Ha, some people don't even know that death is coming, and you want me to die. Ridiculous. Yan Chuan sneered. I'm dead. Ha 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 ha, you're the laughable one. Third senior brother said in disbelief. Your Qi realm hasn't stabilized yet, and you're already showing off. Judging from your complexion, it's obvious that your essence is in a mess, and your Qi is about to burst out of your acupoints. In less than 3 days, his body will explode and he will die. Yan Chuan shouted. The surrounding people all revealed blank expressions, as if they were listening to a heavenly book. In less than 3 days, he would explode and die. Bullshit. You're the one who's about to break through the acupoints. You're just in the strength state, what do you know? You still dare to teach me? Third senior brother suddenly shouted. Obviously, third senior brother did not believe Yan Chuan's words. You don't believe me? Press 3 inches and 2 centimeters below the center of your left ribs. We'll know once we try. Yan Chuan was still brimming with confidence. Why should I listen to you? Third senior brother glanced at his ribs and shouted. Your hands are on your body. It's your business whether you try or not. Yan Chuan was still confident. Third senior brother was already suspicious at this moment. Seeing Yan Chuan full of confidence, he did not know why he suddenly had some doubts. Humph, try, just try. After I try, I'll kill you. Third senior brother shouted. As he spoke, he pointed his finger at the place where Yan Chuan said and pressed gently. Puff! Third senior brother's body suddenly shook. He could not help but shake, as if he could not control it. How could this be, how could this be? Third senior brother's face immediately dripped with big beads of sweat, his face full of panic. Press down hard. You'll know. Yan Chuan shouted again. Third senior brother panicked, listening to Yan Chuan's words, and pressed down hard. Bang! Third senior brother's body suddenly emitted a sound of explosion. Ah! Third senior brother fell down softly, his whole body twitching, unable to move. Third senior brother! Lu Gang exclaimed. High in the sky, the Dugu Sword Emperor, Yen Wudi, Chongqing, and the first miss all gaped in shock. Master, why did that person collapse? Yen Wudi asked in confusion. First miss, what's going on? Could it be that his cultivation is really unstable? Chongqing asked in confusion. Below, Yan Chuan stepped forward. Why? Why do I have no strength? Third senior brother looked at Yan Chuan as he twitched. Looking at third senior brother, Yan Chuan had a strange expression on his face. I've seen stupid people, but I've never seen someone as stupid as you. You cut off your own meridians. You still want to have strength? Yan Chuan said as he shook his head. I cut off my own meridians. I'm fine. You lied to me. Third senior brother understood. It turned out that he was powerless. It was caused by himself. He crippled himself. Despicable person, you lied to me. Third senior brother said in grief, wanting to cry but having no tears. Chapter 154. Third senior brother finally understood. It turned out that the weakness in his body was caused by himself. Did he cripple himself? Despicable bastard, you lied to me. The third senior brother said in grief. The third senior brother was filled with grief and hatred, but there was no medicine for regret. He collapsed on the ground, and no matter how much he screamed, he couldn't change the fact that he had lost. In the sky, the four people looked down in shock. Miss, why is that guy so stupid? Chongqing asked. No, he's not stupid. The woman shook her head. Oh? It's because he just reached the Qi Jing realm, and didn't fully understand his own Qi meridians. If it was someone who had reached the Qi Jing realm for many years, he would have understood it the moment he touched his Qi meridians. But he was tricked by Yan Chuan again and again, and even cut off his own Qi meridians. Ha! Unbelievable! The woman said. Because he was confused, he fell into Yan Chuan's trap. Chongqing nodded. Yes, but more importantly, Yan Chuan's eyes are sharp. How did Yan Chuan see through his cultivation? The woman pondered. Miss, you don't know. Chongqing was surprised. The woman shook her head. On the other side. Looks like I don't have to do anything. The Dugu Sword Emperor looked down with a strange expression. Master, why is Uncle Wang so? Yen Wudi frowned. Is he strong? Ha, he is. I think he learned it from Yen Tao. Back then, Yen Tao was a genius. If it wasn't for that incident, sigh. The Dugu Sword Emperor sighed. Below. Liar. The third senior brother said in grief. But no one sympathized with him. Third senior brother. Lu Gang shouted. Dang! Hua Guang waved his spear and blocked Lu Gang's path. Yen Emperor, let's call it a day. Let's go back. The Crown Prince of Chu stammered. That's right, Yen Emperor. I think we should forget about the city from before. Farewell. The Crown Prince of Han also immediately called out. After the strength of the embroidered uniform army was displayed, the Crown Princes retreated one after another. What was the point of fighting? Even the Qi Jing fighter was defeated, how could they continue fighting? The Yen state's officers and soldiers were elated at this moment. They all looked at Yan Chuan with shining eyes. Before Yen Emperor could open his mouth, Yan Chuan suddenly raised his head. Leave. Today, no one can leave. Yan Chuan shouted domineeringly. No one can leave. Everyone froze and looked at Yan Chuan in surprise. Yan Emperor narrowed his eyes. A hint of confusion appeared on his face. Yan Chuan, what do you mean? We have already given up on the city that we won from the bet. What else do you want? The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Yan Chuan, are you going to break the alliance and start a war between the 5 nations? Yan Chuan, if you dare to touch a single hair of mine, the Wei nation's army will trample over the Yan capital. The Crown Princes all scolded. Humph! Yan Chuan snorted coldly. The snort was filled with majesty. The snort suppressed everyone's angry shouts. If it weren't for this Qi Jing idiot, why would I waste my time talking to you? Today, none of you can leave after humiliating the Yan kingdom. Yan Chuan shouted. After hearing Yan Chuan's words, the 3rd senior brother not only suffered a great loss physically and mentally, but also suffered a great blow mentally. Qi Jing idiot? I'm a Qi Jing idiot. The 3rd senior brother felt like his heart was pierced by thousands of arrows. Yan Chuan, what are you doing? The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Chapter 155. Yan Chuan coldly glanced at everyone. Take them all down. Yan Chuan shouted coldly. Yes. The embroidered army replied immediately. Yan Chuan has gone mad. Crown Prince, let's go, let's go. A consecrator of Chu shouted. Let's go. The Crown Prince of Chu immediately shouted. Crown Prince, we'll protect you. Quick, no one can stop us once we're out of Yanjing. The consecrators shouted. Not only the Crown Prince of the Chu Kingdom, but the Crown Prince of the Han Kingdom and the Crown Prince of the Wei Kingdom also knew that Yan Chuan was about to go crazy. All of them fled outside under the escort of a group of experts. Those who don't surrender, die. Yan Chuan said coldly. Boom! A rain of arrows suddenly shot toward the group of experts. On the other side, Yan Di's face also twitched. Yan Di didn't expect Yan Chuan to be so impulsive. Kill? How could he kill him? Yan Emperor wanted to stop him, but he didn't know what to say. This was because the embroidered uniform army was not something he could order around. Ah! A large number of experts died under the rain of arrows. Those who don't surrender will be killed. The embroidered uniform army shouted. Crown Prince, run! The Chu country's consecrators shouted. Yan Chuan, I'll kill you. A group of consecrators rushed over. Bam! 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 Under the rain of arrows, the 5 spirit realm consecrators were all killed by the shooting sun arrows. The essence state. So what if he was in the elite realm? In front of the shooting sun arrows, he couldn't even withstand a single blow. Moreover, there were thousands of shooting sun arrows. Ah! The Crown Prince of Chu was shot to death by an arrow. Prince Chu is dead? Not far away, Yan Emperor's face twitched. This Yan Chuan was too undisciplined and out of control. That was the Crown Prince of the Chu country. Once he died, the Chu country would never rest until one of them was annihilated. Ah! The Crown Prince of Korea was also killed by an arrow. Crown Prince! The group of experts exclaimed. But there was no use crying out in alarm. The Crown Prince of Korea had already been blown to smithereens. The Crown Prince of Wei Nation and the Crown Prince of Zheng Nation felt a chill in their hearts when they saw the other 2 Crown Princes' deaths. Escape? How could he escape? Who would be able to escape from that divine arrow? I surrender. Lu Gang was the first to admit defeat. When the 2 princes saw that Lu Gang had admitted defeat, they immediately knew that the situation was hopeless. The Yan Chuan in front of them was simply a madman. Put down your weapons, we surrender. The Crown Prince of Wei Kingdom shouted. Clang! Clang! In the blink of an eye, under Yan Chuan's high pressure, everyone surrendered. Tie them all up. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes, sir. The Brocade army replied. Although Yan Emperor and the other experts of the Great Yan were delighted, they soon frowned. This was a mortal enmity with the four nations. Yan Emperor, if worse comes to worst, we'll just give up on those cities. Why are you capturing us? Yan Chuan is mad. Don't make the same mistake as him. Yan Emperor, let us go. We can talk about anything. The crown princes of Jing Nation and Wei Nation were begging for help. Yan Chuan. Yan Emperor said with an ugly expression. We'll talk about the Yan state's own affairs later. Let's unite against the outside world first. Yan Chuan directly stopped Yan Emperor from saying what he wanted to say. Yan Emperor was embarrassed and didn't know what to say. I'll kill whoever dares to bully Yan Emperor again. Yan Chuan shouted coldly. Caw 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 caw. The shooting sun arrows were aimed at the representatives of the four nations again. The representatives of the four nations were tongue-tied. They looked at Yan Chuan in a daze. They had seen domineering people, but they had never seen such a domineering person. He wouldn't even let them beg for mercy. In the sky. Disciple, what's wrong? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked. Chapter 156. Uncle Wang's actions will cause a war between the five nations. What should we do? Yan Wudi said anxiously. You have nothing to do with the world. Don't think about it. Besides, I think that Yan Chuan is not a hot-headed person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have plotted against the Qi Jing people. The Dugu Sword Emperor shook his head. On the other side. Young miss, this Yan Chuan is crazy. Chongqing shouted. No, he is domineering. The woman exclaimed. Ah. Chongqing was puzzled. This person is not ordinary. The woman shook her head. What? He is making enemies with the four nations. He is going to consign the Yan state to eternal damnation. Chongqing did not understand. No, think again. Think again. The woman laughed. Below. The embroidered army only restrained the people of Zheng and Wei, but they were much rougher to the people of Chu and Korea. After all, in the eyes of the embroidered army, their crown prince was dead. The Yan state must be the enemy. Why should they be polite? The difference in attitude immediately attracted the attention of the people of the four nations. Don't kill me. I am classmates with the Prime Minister of Yan State, Chongqing. Don't kill me. A man among the people of Chu suddenly exclaimed. Me too. I am also Chongqing's classmate. Another person among the Korea team exclaimed. Oh? You know the Prime Minister of Yan State? Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes. Not only Yan Chuan, but also Yan Emperor raised his eyebrows. The officials of Yan State also showed disbelief. You are lying. How could Chongqing know you? Yan Emperor glared. I really know Chongqing. Chongqing, where are you? Come and save me, Chongqing. Chongqing, come and save me. The two of them exclaimed. In the sky. When Chongqing saw the scene below, his expression immediately changed. These two idiots. Chongqing said with an ugly expression. The woman sighed and said, let's go down. Swish. The two of them descended from the sky. Chongqing. It's you. Yan Di looked at Chongqing in surprise. When did his most trusted subject learn how to fly? Chongqing, you're here. Hurry up and let me go. Eldest miss. Another person said in surprise. Greetings, Mississippi. It's great that you're here. Save me. Greetings, eldest miss. Greetings, eldest miss. It wasn't just Chu, Daehan, Zheng, and Wei that were trapped as well. They were all dressed in Confucian robes and were extremely respectful to the woman. Eldest miss? Yan Emperor looked at the woman in surprise. At this moment, everyone could tell that something was amiss. Because the five people who knew this woman were actually from the five nations. scattered across the 5 nations? Who exactly was this woman? The woman was dressed in white and wore a bamboo hat. Her face couldn't be seen clearly. Chongqing, what's going on? Yan Emperor shouted. Chongqing sighed slightly and turned to Yan Emperor. He bowed and said, Yan Emperor, I'm sorry for hiding it from you before. But I've never done anything wrong to the Yan state all these years. And these 4 people, like me, are from the 4 nations. You! Yan Emperor said angrily. No matter how nice Chongqing's words were, Yan Emperor knew that his most important subject had never been loyal to him. Not only Yan Emperor, but the Crown Prince of Zheng and Crown Prince of Wei were also shocked. How could the Prime Minister of his own country? Who are you? Yan Chuan stared at the woman in the bamboo hat and asked. I'm Meng Rongrong from the Julu Academy. These are the students of the Julu Academy. I want to take them with me, the woman said with a smile. Julu Academy? Everyone was confused. So it's the Julu Academy. The Dugu Sword Emperor said in a low voice. Master, what kind of place is the Julu Academy? Yan Wudi asked. There are 4 major academies in the world. Taoist Palace, Buddhist Sect, Demon's Den, Feng Shui, and even the major families have to give face to the 4 major academies. The Julu Academy is one of them. The Dugu Sword Emperor explained. Ha! Yan Wudi was confused. The mortals below had never heard of the Julu Academy. The Julu Academy? They are my prisoners. Why should I let you take them away? Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Chapter 157. Julu Academy. They are my prisoners. Why should I let you take them away? Yan Chuan said solemnly. You! Chongqing glared at him. Meng Rongrong stopped Chongqing. Haven't you heard of the Julu Academy? Didn't your father tell you? Meng Rongrong laughed. Never heard of it. Yan Chuan said doubtfully. Taking these people away is of no help to your grand plan at all. I can guarantee that they will not return to the 4 countries. What do you think? Meng Rongrong did not continue to pester the Julu Academy. Oh? Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes and stared at Meng Rongrong, who was wearing a bamboo hat. Great plan. Meng Rongrong could tell. If that's the case, I'll take it that you agree. Meng Rongrong smiled. No! Yan Chuan shouted again. Meng Rongrong was puzzled. They have to stay in Beijing for 3 months. I can let them go, but they can't leave. Yan Chuan said solemnly. You! Chongqing's eyes were burning with anger. He had never met such a difficult person. Okay. Meng Rongrong suddenly smiled. Eldest miss? Chongqing was puzzled. I originally wanted to stay and take a look. Since that's the case, isn't that even better? Meng Rongrong smiled. Yes. You can rest in Chongqing's residence for the time being. Yan Chuan nodded. Oh? Aren't you worried that we will leave? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. You're in the divine realm. Since you can make a promise to someone in the strength realm, of course, I'll believe you. Yan Chuan said calmly. Meng Rongrong also frowned. Did he see through my cultivation again? What did he think? Rumble. Suddenly, rumbling sounds came from all directions. Everyone looked up. In the distance, a black dot on the horizon instantly approached. It was a 6-meter-long bat. The bat flapped its wings, causing a gale to blow. It circled in the air, its eyes ferocious. Bat God, Bat God! Third senior brother, who had fallen to the ground, cried out in surprise. Crack! Bat God looked in Yan Chuan's direction and suddenly opened his mouth to roar. A huge sound wave rushed out, and the air around them seemed to overlap. Ah! Under the sound waves, a group of embroidered uniform army soldiers were sent flying. Shoot, shoot them down. Lu Jin shouted. Swish! Swish! A large number of shooting sun arrows soared into the sky and shot towards the bat demons. At this moment, Yan Chuan's third senior brother, who was not far away, moved his finger slightly, as if he was about to move. Kaka! The bats circled around, dodging the rain of arrows and constantly disrupting the entire battlefield. Under the sound waves, a large number of cracks appeared on the ground. Ah! Many people covered their ears and rolled around in pain. Third senior brother clenched his fist. The fear from before was slowly receding. The bat's sound waves helped third senior brother to reopen his blocked meridians. Ta! Yan Chuan kicked third senior brother's lower abdomen. The meridians that had just been reopened were once again broken by Yan Chuan's kick. You! Third senior brother's face turned red. You still want to run after falling into my hands? Yan Chuan smiled coldly. Swish! In the sky, a shooting sun arrow suddenly shot through the bat demon's wings. Wah! The bat demon let out a cry like a baby. Swish! Swish! Another 2 arrows shot through the bat demon's wings. Wah! Wah! The bat demon cried out in pain. Bat God, let's go and inform eldest senior brother. Quick, quick, quick! Third senior brother curled up and shouted. Wah! The bat demon circled for a while and soared into the sky. Chapter 158. He turned his head and looked at the fallen third senior brother. Then, he spread his injured wings and flew away. Where do you think you're going? The embroidered uniform army shouted and drew their bows again. There's no need to shoot anymore. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. The embroidered uniform army finally stopped. Yan Chuan watched the bat demon leave. He pondered for a moment before looking at the third senior brother again. Lord, how do we guard this person? Lu Jin was a little troubled. After all, this person was in the Qi state. Once he broke free, the consequences would be unimaginable. Pierce his shoulder blades and throw him into the prison. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Everyone answered. When the third senior brother heard that, he immediately shouted, How dare you? How dare you? My master won't let you go. Humph, if it weren't for King Yi Mai, I would have killed you right now. Yan Chuan said coldly. You! The third senior brother trembled. He looked at Yan Chuan in horror. Throw them all into the prison. Lu Jin commanded the embroidered uniform army. In the blink of an eye, the representatives of the 4 states were all prisoners. Yan Emperor and the other Yan state officials looked on numbly. There were thousands of words in their hearts, but they didn't know where to start. This matter was, Yan Chuan slowly walked towards Yan Emperor. Greetings, Emperor equal to the Emperor. The Yan state officials all said solemnly. Yan Chuan, what are you? Yan Emperor frowned. This is not the place to talk. Let's go back. Yan Chuan shook his head. Okay. Yan Emperor said with a complicated look in his eyes. In the sky. Master, I want to hear Uncle Wang's explanation later. Yan Wudi looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Go. Deal with the secular matters. The Dugu Sword Emperor nodded. Thank you, Master. Yan Wudi's face lit up with joy. In the evening, in Beijing. Zhao Manor. Zhao Manor's main hall. An old man with silvery white hair that was combed neatly sat in the main seat. The old man was dignified and his eyes glowed. There were 7 or 8 Zhao family disciples sitting on both sides. Master, is what happened at the drill ground today true? A disciple of the Zhao family asked incredulously. It's true. Yan Chuan has detained the envoys of the 4 countries. Moreover, his embroidered uniform army is personally guarding the prison. Patriarch Zhao said in a deep voice. Yan Chuan is crazy. He wants to consign the Yen state to eternal damnation. A disciple shouted. Beyond redemption? Wouldn't it be perfect if the Yen state was in chaos? Once chaos breaks out, Zhao Tianwang can break away from the Yen state, establish a dynasty, and ascend to the throne. Patriarch Zhao said in a deep voice. That's right. The group of disciples laughed. My Zhao clan's power has already matured. Now, we just need an opportunity, and that opportunity is not far away. Do your job well and don't make any mistakes. Zhao Tianwang said in a deep voice. Yes, Patriarch. Don't worry. The group of disciples replied. Patriarch, Yan Chuan's embroidered uniform army is not to be underestimated. A disciple said with a frown. Don't worry. In a few months, Yan Chuan will enter the gate of heaven. His embroidered uniform army relies on divine weapons. Once Yan Chuan leaves, the embroidered uniform army will be mine, right? Zhao Tianwang said confidently. Yes, Patriarch. No matter how strong the embroidered uniform army is, they can't escape from Patriarch's hands. The disciples said excitedly. You may leave. Zhao Tianwang said. Yes. The crowd retreated. The crowd retreated. Zhao Tianwang stood up and closed the door. He walked to the corner of the wall and tapped on the wall a few times. Suddenly, a secret entrance appeared on the ground. Zhao Tianwang walked into the depths. There was a secret room in the depths. The secret room was surrounded by yin qi. Zhao Tianwang looked nervous. He calmed himself down and continued walking. Who is it? A cold voice suddenly came from the dark secret room. Senior Poisoner, it's me, Zhao Tianwang. Zhao Tianwang tried to curry favor. What are you doing here? Didn't I ask you to keep an eye on the Dugu Sword Emperor? The voice in the dark said coldly. I've been keeping an eye on him. However, he's in the Crown Prince's palace and hasn't come out. I have something else to report. Zhao Tianwang said respectfully. Oh? That Yan Chuan entered the capital today and went on a killing spree. Zhao Tianwang explained in detail what happened during the day. Zhao Tianwang, you're Shinkuan Kuroha's disciple, right? Poisoner sneered. Yes. Master took me in as his disciple 5 years ago and asked me to rebel against the Yen state and set up a trap to exterminate the Yen clan, Zhao Tianwang said respectfully. Do you know why he took you in? Poisoner said indifferently. I don't know. Maybe he saw something in me. Bullshit. What's so good about you? You're already so old, but your bone structure is still so weak. Let me tell you. It's because Yen Tao was killed by Shinkuan Kuroha. Do you understand now? Poisoner said coldly. Ah. Yes, I understand. Zhao Tianwang frowned. While I'm recuperating, try your best to keep a low profile. Don't cause any trouble and attract the Dugu Sword Emperor. When I'm healed, you can do whatever you want. At that time, I'll give you a good fortune. Poisoner said in a deep voice. Yes, I'll definitely protect you. Zhao Tianwang said respectfully. Go. Don't disturb me again. Poisoner said in a deep voice. Yes. Zhao Tianwang slowly retreated. Yen capital, Imperial Palace. In a large hall. A banquet was set up in the hall. Yen Emperor sat in the main seat. Yan Chuan sat in the guest seat on the east side. Yan Wudi sat in the guest seat on the west side. There were only 3 people at the banquet. 2 eunuchs stood behind Yen Emperor. Lu Jin stood behind Yan Chuan. The hall was closed. There was no one else. It's been more than 7 years since we last saw each other. I can't believe that you've grown so much in just 7 years. Yen Emperor smiled. Yes, it's been more than 7 years. I'm sure you haven't been feeling well all these years. Yan Chuan smiled. Yan Wudi didn't interrupt. He just watched. Yan Emperor looked slightly embarrassed. He drank a cup of wine and took a deep breath. Indeed, I've been prejudiced against you all these years. After all, your identity is too sensitive. You're a threat to my throne. Yan Emperor suddenly said with a serious face. Father? Yan Wudi looked at Yan Emperor in surprise. Yan Emperor waved his hand, indicating that he shouldn't interrupt. However, I understand what happened at the drill ground today. Emperor? Throne? What a joke. In front of the Immortal sect, it's really a joke. Yan Emperor said bitterly. The Yan state lost your father. The Yan state can only be bullied. Without the support of the Immortal sect, what can a great dynasty do? Yan Emperor shook his head and said. Yan Chuan looked at Yan Emperor. He knew that he wasn't finished. The war between the 5 countries is about to begin. The Yan state is at the moment of life and death. I don't want the Yan state to be destroyed in my hands. Therefore, I want to pass the imperial seal to you. I want to recommend you to the throne. Yan Emperor stared at Yan Chuan and said solemnly. As he spoke, a eunuch behind him held a jade box. Obviously, the jade box contained the Yan state's imperial seal. Father? Yan Wudi said in surprise. Chapter 159. The war between the 5 nations is about to begin. The Yan state is at the moment of life and death. I don't want the Yan state to be destroyed in my hands. Therefore, I want to pass the imperial seal to you. Yan Emperor stared at Yan Chuan and said solemnly. As he spoke, a eunuch behind him came forward with a jade box. Clearly, the jade box contained the Yan state's imperial seal. Imperial father! Yan Wudi exclaimed. Drinking the fine wine, Yan Chuan's gaze was focused as he stared at the Yan Emperor, analyzing whether the Yan Emperor was speaking the truth or not. Father, you are Yan Emperor. How can you? Yan Wudi said anxiously. Yan Emperor? No, Wudi. The Yan state was originally a king, and Yan Chuan was also the legitimate ruler of the Yan state. Yan Emperor shook his head. But... Yan Wudi was still unwilling to give up. Yan Emperor said in a low voice, no buts. In the royal family, you are the only one with potential. Your brothers and sisters are useless. I originally wanted to pass the throne to you, but you have entered the Immortal sect and have a better future. You can't miss this opportunity. But... Yan Wudi was still frowning. If I hand the Yan state over to your brothers, it will be destroyed in the blink of an eye. No, even if I take control of the Yan state, it will be destroyed sooner or later. Only Yan Chuan, the emperor, can carry the banner of the Yan state. The Yan emperor said solemnly. Oh? Yan Chuan stared at Yan emperor in confusion. Your embroidered uniform army should be more than enough to fight against the armies of other countries. As for the participation of the immortal sects of other countries, you also have the Day sect behind you. Although your father is dead, the Day sect will not sit by and watch you die. As long as you are the emperor, the Day sect will definitely protect the Yan state. As long as we strive for a few decades, Crown Prince Yan Wudi will have completely grown up. At that time, he will be able to protect the Yan state for generations to come. Yan Emperor said with certainty. Yan Emperor spoke selflessly, but he couldn't fool Yan Chuan. He smiled and took a sip of wine. Father, Uncle Wang could have entered the Immortal sect and had the opportunity to live forever. How can he be trapped on the throne? Yan Wudi frowned and asked worriedly. Invincible. Yan Emperor's eyes widened. Imperial Father, I feel that this is unfair to Uncle Wang. Uncle Wang could have cultivated for a long time. If he became the emperor, he would be old after a few decades. It would be too late to cultivate then. Moreover, after a few decades, would the Day sect still care about the favor of grandfather Yan Tao? Yan Wudi shook his head. Unfilial son. I am doing this for your own good. For the sake of the Yan clan. Yan Emperor said angrily. Yan Emperor originally wanted to use the righteousness of the Yan clan's bloodline to restrain Yan Chuan, but he didn't expect his son to undermine him. What you are doing is wrong. Yan Wudi said stubbornly. Ha ha ha. Yan Chuan suddenly laughed and interrupted the father and son's argument. The two frowned and looked at Yan Chuan. There is no need to argue. Thank you for your kindness. I can take the throne. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Really? Yan Emperor's eyes lit up. Yes. Yan Chuan nodded affirmatively. However, when he saw Yan Chuan nod, Yan Emperor didn't know why, but he suddenly felt a trace of reluctance and unwillingness. Then please accept the imperial seal. Tomorrow, I will announce to the officials that you will ascend the throne on an auspicious day. Yan Emperor looked at the box with reluctance. Yan Chuan smiled and shook his head. Why are you going back on your words? Yan Emperor frowned. I originally wanted to establish a dynasty. My original plan was not necessarily to establish the Yan state. After all, you and I are of the same bloodline. I didn't want to fight with you. However, since you are willing to give up the throne, I will accept it. Don't worry. As long as I am alive, I will protect the Yan clan. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Chapter 160. Good. Good. Yan Emperor smiled. But not now. Yan Chuan shook his head. Yan Emperor was slightly surprised. I have the opportunity to become an immortal cultivator and have entered the Day sect. I want to ask you, do you want to enter the cultivation world? Yan Chuan asked seriously. Enter the cultivation world? Yan Emperor's eyes lit up, but then he said bitterly, who doesn't want to become an immortal? But my foundation is very poor. Your father also said that I didn't have the opportunity to become an immortal cultivator. Which immortal sect would accept me? Good. Give up the throne and I'll help you. It's a kind of compensation. Yan Chuan thought for a while and said. You, help me? Yan Emperor was slightly surprised. If your foundation is poor, then you can use a lot of resources. Others need 1, but you can use 10. I'll lead you into the cultivation world and help you reach the Qi state. What do you think? Yan Chuan smiled. Ah! How is that possible? Yan Emperor was overjoyed. Why? You don't believe me? Yan Chuan smiled. No, I believe you. It's just that. Ha ha ha, you can eat the 3-colored sacred cow on the drill ground. Yan Chuan laughed. You're giving it to me. You can have it. Cultivate well. When you reach the Qi state, you'll have to rely on yourself. Yan Chuan nodded. When I reach the Qi state, I'll be able to establish myself in the cultivation world. I don't need your help anymore. Yan Emperor said excitedly. Okay, then you can continue to deal with the affairs of the Yan state for me. Yan Chuan thought for a while and said. What? You're not going to ascend the throne now? Yan Emperor frowned. I'm going to the Day sect to take a look. When I'm done, I'll come back and ascend the throne. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. But. Yan Di frowned. Yan Chuan shook his head and said, besides, you'll need a lot of resources to reach the Qi state. I need to get my father's things back. Oh, all right. Yan Emperor nodded. But there was still something on his mind. Don't worry, I have detained the emissaries of the 4 countries. I will take care of this matter. Before I go to the Day sect, I will take care of everything properly. You can rest assured and continue to be Yan Emperor. Yan Chuan said with a smile. All right, let me give you a toast. Yan Emperor smiled. N. Yan Chuan nodded. Yan Wudi looked at Yan Chuan in confusion. After the banquet. After sending off Yan Chuan. Yen Di and Yen Wudi stood at the door and looked at Yen Chuan's back. Father? Do you really believe Uncle Wang? Yen Wudi frowned. Yen Di narrowed his eyes. I can't believe all of his words, but I can't let go of this opportunity. He is different from you. He has Yen Tao's inheritance in the Dai sect. He has a lot of cultivation resources. Since he promised to help me enter the cultivation world, I must fight for it. Although power is good, I need to be alive to enjoy it. Once I become immortal, what can I not have? Yen Di said in a deep voice. All right. Yen Wudi nodded. On the other side, Yen Chuan walked around the palace with Lu Jin. As they walked, Yen Chuan looked at the bright moonlight and his face showed a trace of satisfaction. Your Highness, I have already ordered people to tidy up the Emperor's palace. Lu Jin said from the side. Huh, what's wrong? I see that you have been holding back for a long time. Do you have something to say? Yen Chuan laughed. Old slave just doesn't understand why the Lord agreed to Yen Di's request. What's so good about being an emperor? This world belongs to immortals. Only immortality and immortality are the most important things. Lu Jin said with a complicated expression. Ha ha ha, you don't understand. Being an emperor is to become the most powerful immortal. Yen Chuan laughed. Ah. Lu Jin was stunned. Emperor? Immortal? Was there a connection? Old slave doesn't understand the Lord's meaning. But if the Lord wants to be an emperor, does it have to be in the Yen state? This will let Yen Di get so many cultivation resources. Lu Jin said with some reluctance. Ha ha ha, I am the rightful ruler in the Yen state. I can take advantage of the situation to sit on the throne. Why not go to the Yen state? A country and a sect are two different concepts. Although the Yen state is small, the country's system is complete. This is what I value the most. A complete system can save me a lot of trouble. I just need to strengthen it and strengthen it. As for those cultivation resources, it's nothing. Yen Chuan laughed. If that's the case, why didn't the Lord take the imperial seal just now? Lu Jin asked curiously. Taking a deep breath, Yen Chuan shook his head and said, It's not time yet. I have to go to the cultivation world. It's not to find a master to cultivate, but to recruit a group of truly capable people to help me conquer the world. Recruit people? Lu Jin was slightly stunned. That's right. Yen Chuan nodded. Yes, old slave understands. Lu Jin nodded respectfully. It's good that you understand. Tomorrow, gather all the information on all the ministers in the Yen state and give it to me. I want to see if there are any talents in the Yen state that I want. Yen Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Lord, rest assured. 2 days later, in the morning at the Emperor's palace. Yen Chuan washed up and walked out of the courtyard. Hua Guang and Lu Jin were waiting outside the courtyard. Hua Guang, have you made the arrangements? Yen Chuan stared at Hua Guang. Yes, my first army has been sent out in 3 groups. Each group has 900 people. They left Yanjing last night. There are only 300 people left in Yanjing for the Lord's command. Hua Guang said respectfully. Lord, there are only 900 people in each group. Can they complete the mission? Lu Jin was a little worried. This time, let's give them a chance to hone themselves. If a jade isn't polished, it won't amount to anything. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Yes. The 2 of them answered. Let's go. We'll go to Xinglua Mountain Villa and meet the imperial tutor, Ifeng. Yen Chuan said as he mounted his horse. Yes. The 2 of them mounted their horses. 100 people from the imperial tutor followed behind them. They galloped out of the city. Lord, Ifeng is already old. What's the use of looking for him? Hua Guang asked, puzzled. Old people cherish their lives. Old people are dignified. When a person is about to die, they can see through many things. Besides, so what if he's old? He's 92 years old. He's just a kid in the cultivation world. In the past 2 days, I've read all kinds of records about him. Although he only wrote about how he succeeded, I could feel that there was a lot of planning before he succeeded. Plus, he's very famous. His disciples are all over the Yen state. If he's really thinking for me, he'll be a pillar of the country. Yen Chuan said with certainty. A pillar of the country? Lu Jin was surprised. Nothing is certain yet. This trip is to verify it. Yen Chuan said solemnly. If the Lord wants to see him, we can just summon him. Why do we have to go there personally? Lu Jin frowned. No, if he's a capable person, I'll pay him a visit personally. It's fine if we talk about it now, but don't be rude when the time comes. Yen Chuan said with a deep voice. Yes, old slave understands. Lu Jin immediately said respectfully. Go. A group of people galloped out of the city towards Xinglua Mountain Villa. Chapter 161. Yanjing, Prime Minister's residence. Chongqing had been removed from his post, but because of the emperor's permission, he was still living in the Prime Minister's residence. In a large hall. Young miss, there's no need for the 5 of us to stay in the imperial court anymore. A scholar said to Meng Rongrong. Yes, we've gathered all the information. The operations of the imperial court and all the systems have been recorded. We can go back and report it to the principal. Another scholar said. Meng Rongrong sat at the head of the table, drinking tea as she looked at the 5 people from the Julu Academy. All? Meng Rongrong smiled. It should be all. Chongqing nodded. Meng Rongrong shook her head and sighed, it's not all. I've seen this information, and it shouldn't be of much use. Then, what does the principal want? It's not good for us to go back to our countries now. Another person frowned. That's not right, young Mississippi. If you want to take us away, who can stop you? Chongqing frowned. She shook her head. Meng Rongrong thought for a while and said, before coming here, I've traveled around the mortal world, but I've never seen an emperor like Yen Chuan. Yen Chuan? He's not an emperor. Chongqing shook his head. Isn't he? Let's wait and see. Meng Rongrong smiled. Young miss, are we just going to wait? Chongqing was puzzled. Wait? We won't wait. What's Yen Chuan doing recently? Meng Rongrong asked. Last night, more than 2,000 members of the embroidered uniform army left the city. Their whereabouts are unknown. As expected, this Yen Chuan is indeed bold. Meng Rongrong's eyes lit up. Young miss, where did the embroidered uniform army go? Just wait, you'll know soon enough. Meng Rongrong kept them in suspense. Early this morning, Yen Chuan led 100 members of the embroidered army and left the city. Looking at the direction, it should be the Star Luo Mountain Villa. Chongqing said. Star Luo Villa? Is this the residence of the imperial tutor of 3 dynasties, Yifeng? Meng Rongrong asked in surprise. Yes. Keep an eye on him. Meng Rongrong said calmly. Yes. East of Yanjing City. The forest was densely packed and there were many lakes. The scenery was extremely pleasant. This Grand Preceptor Yifeng really knows how to choose a place. This is the best place to retire. Lu Jin sighed. It's rare to see a brick road paved in the middle of a mountain forest. Hua Guang said in a strange tone. At the very least, you don't have to worry about not being able to find your way. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Soon, everyone saw the entrance of a valley in the distance. Beside the valley was a stone tablet. Star Luo Villa. A few household servants were standing at the entrance. However, they looked extremely proper. Lord, I heard that many of the household servants in Star Luo Villa used to be soldiers. Hua Guang said. Who are you? A household servant immediately shouted. Yen State's emperor is here. Why aren't you letting your master come out? Lu Jin shouted. Lu Jin, what did I tell you before we came? Yen Chuan frowned and said. Yes. Lu Jin immediately knew that she was wrong. Emperor's emperor. The household servant frowned. At this moment, a person beside him whispered, he is indeed the emperor's emperor. I saw him 2 days ago in Yanjing. Greetings to the Lord. The household servant immediately said respectfully. Yes. Is Grand Preceptor Yi Feng here? Yen Chuan said with a smile. The Villa Lord is here. Does the Lord want to see the Villa Lord? The household servant asked. That's right. Yen Chuan nodded. The Villa Lord is old. 3 years ago, he announced that he won't see any outsiders. Unless. The household servant frowned. Chapter 162. How dare you? Lu Jin said angrily again. However, Yen Chuan waved his hand and stopped Lu Jin. Unless what? Yen Chuan said with a smile. Villa Master has not met anyone in recent years. Even when Yen Emperor invited Villa Master to his birthday celebration, Villa Master did not appear. In Xinglua Mountain Villa, apart from the servants and Villa Master's descendants, there is only one kind of people who can meet Villa Master. Oh? The best chess players in the world, the people who have reached the pinnacle of chess, can meet Villa Master after they have played chess with Villa Master and obtained his approval. The household servant explained. Play chess? Yen Chuan asked curiously. Yes. Villa Master is old and wants to do his favorite thing in his later years, which is playing chess. Right now, there are dozens of chess masters in the valley outside the manor, playing chess with the manor head or solving the endgame. If your highness is interested, you might as well come with me. It's just that. The servant looked around at the embroidered uniform army. Okay, I'll go with you. Lu Jin, Hua Guang, and choose 4 more people to follow me in. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Yes. Everyone dismounted. Yen Chuan and the others walked to the entrance of the valley. Lord, please. The household servant said respectfully. Okay. Following the household servant, Yen Chuan entered the valley. The valley was very large, and there were some exquisite pavilions not far away. Dozens of people in loose robes were racking their brains to look at some Go boards. Clearly, these were the chess players that the household servant had mentioned. Some servants poured tea and water for everyone. On the other side of the valley, there was a narrow path. Clearly, there was a valley within the valley that could be entered. Some servants went back and forth to the valley within the valley. They're here. Master Yi's new chess pieces are here. The group of chess players immediately surrounded them. The 10 household servants who came out of the valley within the valley were quickly surrounded. Yen Chuan stepped forward. The group of Go players did not pay attention to Yen Chuan's group. After all, there were too many people who came here every day. When they got closer, Yen Chuan understood. There were a total of 10 Go boards arranged in a row. There was only one person sitting on each chessboard, as if there were no opponents. The 10 household servants who had just come out of the valley quickly placed chess pieces on the 10 chessboards. Master Yi, this is a brilliant move. Now that Master Yi has left, it won't be easy for us to place our pieces. Ha, you've lost. With Master Yi's move, you have no chance of making a comeback. The onlookers kept commenting on the 10 games of Go. What's the meaning of this? Lu Jin asked the household servant beside her. These 10 are the Go masters of their respective provinces. They came here to seek guidance from the Manor Lord. The Manor Lord fought against the 10 Go masters alone. This is already the 3rd day, and no one has been able to defeat the Manor Lord. They are tired, so they are resting in the surrounding houses. When they are free, they will come and play with the Manor Lord across the mountain, the household servant said proudly. Play across the mountain? Yan Chuan said with a smile. That's right. Look at these dozens of people. It's not just our Yan state. Zheng State, Chu State, Han State, Wei State, and all the other countries' experts have gathered here. However, no one has been able to defeat the Manor Lord. The household servant said proudly. Fighting against the 10 Go masters alone. Grand Preceptor Yi Feng's Go skills are too amazing. Lu Jin said in surprise. Let's take a look first. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Yan Chuan looked at the chess pieces on the chessboard. Lord, in fact, the order of the chess pieces on each game is recorded. Would the Lord like to take a look? The household servant said with a smile. All right. Soon, the household servant returned with a piece of paper filled with Go stones. Every Go stone had a number on it, indicating the order in which the chess pieces were placed. Yan Chuan carefully looked at each piece of paper, and his expression turned increasingly grave. Chapter 163. When Xiaochen finished reading all 10 pieces of paper, his gaze fell on the Go boards of the 10 Go games. He is indeed an expert. Yan Chuan said happily after letting out a long sigh. Lord, how is the Grand Tutor's Go skills? Hua Guang asked, feeling curious. Low-ranked Go players compete. They pursue victory and defeat, seeking instant benefits. Although their Go skills are strong, they are limited to skill and not the Go Dao. Middle-ranked Go players seek the Dao. Chess can nurture one's state of mind, absorb one's soul, and approach the Dao of chess. High-ranked Go players create the Dao. Using momentum to set up the Go board, the mental state guiding the Go board. The Go board is the world. Placing a Go stone can mess up the hearts of the people. This Yi Feng is already a high-ranked Go player. Unfortunately, these 10 Go masters are too weak. He lacks a true opponent, Yan Chuan said with certainty. Ah! We lost again, one of the Go masters lamented. I lost, too. I lost this Go game as well. The 10 Go masters admitted defeat at the same time. How did the 10 of them lose at the same time? Hua Guang exclaimed in shock. That's because Yi Feng controlled the entire Go board. Not only could his Go skills match the 10, but he could also accurately calculate the time. Yan Chuan said with a bright light in his eyes. To think that the Grand Tutor Yi Feng's Go skills are so strong. Lu Jin exclaimed. Just at this moment, a household servant called out, all right, this game is over. Rest for 2 hours. After 2 hours, 10 more people can play against my Manor Lord. All right. The group of Go players answered. Is there a reason for this Go game? Yan Chuan asked the household servant who led the way. The Lord wants to play against my Manor Lord? That household servant exclaimed. That's right. Yan Chuan said with a smile. According to our rules, solving 10 Go puzzles is enough. The household servant said. If that's the case, then let's arrange the 10 Go puzzles in a row. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Ah! Lord, our endgame is extremely difficult. Many people can only solve one endgame in a day. The household servant said strangely. It doesn't matter. Just set it down. Yan Chuan shook his head. Oh, okay. The household servant looked at Yan Chuan strangely. Just as the 10 people finished playing chess, the household servant quickly called out to the other household servant and quickly arranged 10 endgame positions according to the chess manual. What are you doing? Endgame? Another newcomer? The group of Go players looked at the scene in surprise. The 10 household servant each stood on a chessboard, while Yan Chuan stood on one side and watched. Young man. Who is this young man? What a joke. He can solve 10 Go puzzles at the same time. Where did this hothead come from? Lu Jin and Hua Guang both looked worried. However, Yan Chuan was not worried at all. He looked at the Go puzzles and smiled. He casually grabbed a handful of black Go stones from the Go bowl and quickly placed them on a chessboard. Yan Chuan quickly placed a go stone on the second chessboard. The third chessboard, the fourth chessboard, like flowing water, in the blink of an eye, the go stones were placed on all 10 go puzzles. The group of go players looked at Yan Chuan in astonishment. Is this a joke? Is he playing blindly? Does he have enough time to see the go puzzles? Moreover, there are 10 of them. I've played this go puzzle before. The first go stone was placed like this. This young man is really lucky. Everyone was discussing. No one was optimistic about Yan Chuan's chances. Lu Jin and Hu Guang stared at the Go players as if warning them not to talk nonsense. However, the Go players did not care at all and continued criticizing them. Everyone, gentlemen, should watch the game without speaking. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Ha! The Go players' faces froze. Chapter 164. Nyoibo Studio playing Yifeng. Everyone, gentlemen, should not speak while watching Go. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Ha! The expressions of the Go players froze. Everyone knew that one should not speak while watching Go. However, at this moment, everyone looked down on Yan Chuan's Go play. Hence, they spoke up. However, Yan Chuan made it sound like they were not gentlemen but petty people. Everyone's faces immediately turned red. Some of them even glared at Yan Chuan angrily. The 10 household servant did not expect Yan Chuan to play so quickly. After being stunned for a moment, he started playing according to the Go record. Smack! 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 10 white Go stones were played. Yan Chuan grabbed another handful of black Go stones from the Go bowl. Smack! 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 Yan Chuan was no slower than the household servant. His movements were like flowing water, and in the blink of an eye, he played another 10 Go stones. Ah! The Go players all revealed stunned expressions. This person is really blind. One of the Go players said in disdain. However, before he could finish his sentence, he stopped himself. This was because he was the only one speaking. The others all remembered Yan Chuan's words, watch Go without speaking. For the sake of maintaining their poise, no one spoke. After that Go player's face froze, he looked at the Go board again. His expression remained angry. He waited for Yan Chuan to be defeated before slowly scolding him. Clack! 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 As the household servant played his Go stones, he gaped in shock. This was because Yan Chuan played his Go stones even faster than they did. Clack! 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 As Go stones continued to be played, the Go masters turned increasingly serious. What's wrong? Is he playing blindly? Is he really solving the Go? The Go players looked at the Go board in disbelief. Pa! Yan Chuan placed another piece. The first game is over. It's been solved. A Go master exclaimed in surprise. The second game has also been solved. The same goes for the third round. When Yan Chuan placed his last piece, all the Go masters looked at Yan Chuan, but they were already silent. Alright, let's clean up the mess. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Good, the Lord is good at chess. The villa master will be very happy to know that he has another good opponent. The household servant who was leading the way smiled. Retreat. The household servant, who was leading the way, said to the people who were dealing with the aftermath. Yes. Everyone quickly retreated. The group of Go players also came to their senses at this moment. Who is this person? Everyone began to inquire. Yan Chuan didn't chat much with the crowd. Instead, he found a chessboard and sat down. He waited for the second round to begin. The others discussed animatedly, and more or less knew Yan Chuan's identity. The Emperor's equal? He is the Emperor's equal. Why is the Emperor's equal so young? The emperor's equal is good at chess. With their strength recognized, the crowd no longer dared to act arrogantly in front of Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan sat at a Go board, and everyone thought that it was natural for him to sit there. After waiting for a while. Alright, it's about time. The second round will begin. As usual, the villa master will allow everyone to place their pieces first. A household servant called out. Place my pieces first. Ha! Yan Chuan smiled. He picked up a black piece. He placed his hand on the Tianyuan position. At the center of the Go board. When the piece was placed on the Tianyuan position, it was as if a breeze was blowing from the Go pieces, blowing away the dust. Chapter 165. At this moment, Yan Chuan had become the center of attention. Aside from the 9 players, almost all eyes were on Yan Chuan's Go board. Divine Prime. How can it be Divine Prime? Someone exclaimed. Does he know how to play Go? His first move is Divine Prime. No one has ever dared to play like that before. What a waste. This move is completely useless. Everyone shook their heads. Lord, are you sure? Have you thought carefully about your first move? Why don't you rearrange it? The household servant advised kindly from earlier. Whoever placed the first move had the advantage. However, this advantage should not be wasted like that. There's no need. When I play Go, my first move has always been Divine Prime. Yan Chuan said, shaking his head. Ah! Everyone was confused. Always Divine Prime. What a joke. Who would play Go like that? All right. That kind household servant smiled bitterly. He waved his hand, and the 10 household servant quickly recorded the moves and rushed to the middle of the valley. In the middle of the valley, a waterfall poured into the valley, revealing a large lake below. A gentle breeze blew, bringing with it a pleasant fishy smell. Flowers grew all around, and many palaces stood tall. Birds sang and flowers bloomed, making this place look like a paradise on earth. Beside the lake stood a group of servants who were waiting on them. In the middle of a huge pavilion, there were 10 chessboards. The 10 household servants were setting up the Go boards. There was a small pier by the lake. At this moment, a white-robed old man sat on the pier. The old man had white hair, white brows, and an aged face. He held a fishing rod in his hand. He sat there quietly, as if he was in an ink painting. A middle-aged man stood behind the old man as he quietly fished. Grandfather, how are the Go skills of those 10 Go masters? The middle-aged man asked with a smile. The old man's expression did not change. He said indifferently, their Go skills are passable. The 3rd and 6th players improved their Go skills to a certain extent. Grandpa's chess skills have already reached the pinnacle of perfection. In the entire world, no one can match him. These 10 people claim to be chess masters, but even when the 10 of them play together, they are still no match for Grandpa. Furthermore, they don't know that Grandpa is actually playing blind chess. He didn't even look at the chessboard. He was fishing and playing at the same time. The middle-aged man sighed. Invincible? That might not be the case. It's just that our horizons are limited. Who can guarantee that there are no chess experts among the cultivators? They've lived for countless years, and their skill in chess might not be inferior to mine. A look of longing and a sigh flashed across the old man's eyes. No, I believe that even those cultivators are no match for Grandpa. The middle-aged man said stubbornly. The old man smiled and continued fishing. Manor Lord, the first round is 4-4. A household servant reported. 43. The old man said without turning his head. The household servant behind him, who was in charge of the chessboard, quickly placed a piece according to the old man's instructions. Second round, tie 4. Another household servant called out. 44. The old man said indifferently as he fished. Third round. Fourth round, every time a piece was placed, the old man would not even look at the chessboard. He would quickly announce the placement of a white piece. 10th round, Tianyuan. The last household servant reported. Oh? The old man was slightly taken aback. A household servant who had followed him immediately reported, Manor Lord, the person in the 10th round has an extremely special identity. He is. I don't care who he is. Did he solve the Go game? The white-robed old man asked indifferently. He solved it. Furthermore, he solved all 10 games in a short period of time. The household servant said respectfully. Chapter 166. Solving all 10 games at the same time. Ha ha ha. Good. This old man has finally found a decent one, the white-clad old man said with a smile. Yes. For the 10th game, I will play 3 to 5. The old man said after taking a deep breath without turning his head. Yes. The placement of Go stones in the middle of the valley quickly spread to the outer valley. In the outer valley, the top 10 Go players were quickly playing. Smack. 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 The Go stones were quickly placed. In the blink of an eye, it was noon. At this moment, most of the spectating Go players gathered around Yen Chuan. They could see the general trend of the other Go boards. However, Yen Chuan's Go board confused them. Are Master Yi and this young man playing Go? The two of them are going their own ways. How is this a game? That's right, this chess game is too scattered. No, this is a setup. The two of them are setting each other up. The game is too big. We can't understand it. Everyone watched quietly. In the distance, another group of household servants came to the middle of the valley. They quickly placed Go stones on the 10 Go boards. Ah, I lost again. Sigh, I was too careless. This game is messed up again. What a pity. On the first 9 Go boards, the 9 Go masters threw in their Go stones and admitted defeat with regretful expressions. Everyone looked at Yen Chuan's table. According to the previous rules, all 10 games would be thrown in at the same time. Now, 9 games had been lost, and the last game was still going on. It was still going on. Everyone was flabbergasted by this strange scene. Then, they all gathered around. Yen Chuan smiled faintly and placed another Go stone. Clack! He placed another Go stone. The household servant quickly recorded it and ran to the middle of the valley. In the middle of the valley, the old man's fish float trembled. Clearly, a fish had taken the bait. However, the old man did not seem to notice it. Manor Lord, all the first 9 games have been thrown in and they have admitted defeat, the household servant reported. What about the 10th round? Where did the 10th round land? The old man asked. Up to 85%. The household servant reported. Up to 85%? It's actually over 85%. The old man was slightly surprised. The household servant waited for the old man to announce his next move, but after waiting for a while, the old man did not speak. Ha! The household servant was surprised. Grandpa? The middle-aged man beside him asked in confusion. One had to know that his grandfather had never thought about playing chess for so long. The old man pondered for a while and remained motionless. Even the fish in the lake stole the bait and swam away happily. 43%. The old man finally confirmed. Yes. The household servant quickly ran out. At this moment, in the outer valley, Yen Chuan stood up. It's noon, we should go back. Yen Chuan said indifferently. Yes. Lu Jin and Huaguang answered. Ah. Lord, you're not done playing chess. A household servant was dumbfounded and immediately shouted. He had never met someone who left in the middle of a game. How could he leave? The game was not over yet. Imperial Tutor Yifeng and I have already arranged the troops. Next, the two sides will fight. Every move won't be easy. I'll have my subordinates stay here. If there are new pieces, inform me as soon as possible. I'll make my move then. Yen Chuan said indifferently. What? How is that possible? You're bragging. Master Yi still needs to think when playing chess. The Go masters said in disbelief. At this moment, a household servant quickly ran over from the middle of the valley. 43. Manor Lord, make your move. 43%. The household servant said hurriedly. Oh? 43. Yen Chuan looked at the chessboard. After thinking for a while, Yen Chuan made another move. After leaving behind 4 members of the embroidered uniform army, Yen Chuan led Hu Guang and Lu Jin out of the valley. Let's go. Giddy up. Yen Chuan led the embroidered uniform army away, leaving behind the dumbfounded Go masters. What's going on? The Go masters were petrified. In the middle of the valley, Grand Tutor Yi Feng, who was holding the fishing rod, frowned at this moment. 46. 46. The old man pondered. Chapter 167. 3 days later, in Beijing. In a tea house. There were 2 floors. The upper floor had a cubicle and the lower floor had a hall. Sitting in the cubicle, one could not only hear the people downstairs, but also see the beautiful scenery of the lake through the window. Crown Prince Yen Wudi, dressed in an ordinary black robe, sat on the second floor, drinking tea. He listened to the noise below. Wang Wu, what's the latest news? Someone downstairs asked. A man in a scholar's robe was sitting in the middle, eating a bun. Everyone was surrounding him. Now, there were only 2 things happening right now. First, all the medical centers in Yanjin were full. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of people in Beijing fell sick all of a sudden. Wang Wu sighed as he ate a bun. Yeah, my second uncle was still fine 2 months ago. He didn't have any trouble carrying a bag of rice. He had never been sick before. Now, he suddenly collapsed. One of them made an excuse. I don't know if it's some kind of illness, but there are quite a lot of patients. There are a lot of people lining up outside each clinic. My third uncle is the doctor of Baoji Hall. He said that he couldn't find the cause of this illness. It's a strange illness. Everyone kept talking. There's one more thing. The Emperor's equal has returned. Wang Wu said after some thought. Emperor equal to Emperor? Crown Prince Yen Wudi, who was upstairs, immediately became interested. Emperor equal to the Emperor? Who didn't know? That day, I was at the city gate when Hu Guang broke through the city gate with a single spear strike. 3,000 embroidered army soldiers, how impressive. Yeah, I saw it too. It's nothing. What kind of news is this? Everyone in the city knows. Everyone was discussing, but Wang Wu gently shook his head. No, that's not what I want to talk about. The Emperor's equal has gone to the Star Luo Mountain Villa. Do you guys know? Wang Wu said proudly. Oh? Everyone was slightly stunned. Everyone knows about Grand Preceptor Yi Feng's rules. Even the Yen Emperor can't meet him. Grand Preceptor is nearing the end of his life. He doesn't care about power. In his old age, he only wants to play chess and do what he loves the most. Therefore, Xinglua Mountain Villa invited all the top Go players in the world, and countless national Go players came because of its reputation. Wang Wu said. Nonsense, Wang Wu, get to the point. One of them said impatiently. The Emperor's equal has gone, and he is playing chess with Grand Preceptor Yi Feng across the mountain. Wang Wu said. Ah. That's not right. Wang Wu, you're bragging. I know the rules of the Star Luo Mountain Villa. How many days had it been? The Emperor's equal hasn't solved all the games yet, right? How could he play against the Grand Preceptor? Someone asked in disbelief. TCH. You don't believe me? The emperor's equal really played against the Grand Preceptor. My third brother is a household servant there. You don't know how incredible the emperor's equal is. He solved all 10 Go puzzles at the same time. In an instant, he solved them all. Wang Wu said excitedly. Ah! That can't be, right? Of course, it's true. My third brother was in charge of playing according to the Go manual. However, he wasn't as fast as the emperor's equal. The emperor's equal didn't even need to look. Clack! 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 He solved all the Go puzzles. If I had known, I would have gone to look as well. Wang Wu said excitedly. Then, what happened after that? Everyone's interest was piqued. After that, of course, he played against the Grand Preceptor. Originally, there were 10 people playing against the Grand Preceptor. However, the first 9 were Go masters. They couldn't even withstand a single blow and lost in the blink of an eye. Only the emperor's equal is still playing. He never stopped. Even today, he still hasn't finished that game. Wang Wu sighed. Chapter 168. Bullshit. No one can compare to the Grand Tutor's Go skills. He won in 2 hours. How could the Emperor equal King play for 3 days and 3 nights? Someone said in disbelief. Don't doubt it. The Emperor equal King is awesome. He returned at noon that day, saying that the Grand Tutor needs to think before he plays. He will send someone to inform him when he has thought of a move. Then, he will make his move and have someone send the message back, Wang Wu said proudly. Ah! Wouldn't that be like the Emperor equal King sitting at home and the Grand Tutor sitting in the valley, playing Go from a distance? Of course. Furthermore, the Emperor equal King's Go skills are clearly no weaker than the Grand Tutor's. It has been 3 days and 3 nights, and no one can determine a winner, Wang Wu said. He's that good, someone exclaimed. Of course. I've also heard that none of the chess masters from the Star Luo Mountain Villa are playing chess anymore. They are waiting for the 2 of them to make their move every day. They are waiting impatiently. Every time the messenger comes to make his move, those chess masters don't even dare to breathe loudly. They are just watching, Wang Wu said. Really? Of course. Do you know that Go master from Yanjing? Wang Wu said proudly. Of course, I do. That Go master only acknowledges the Grand Tutor. He does not acknowledge anyone else. However, after watching for 2 days, he no longer dares to watch. He only dares to watch after resting for a day, Wang Wu said. Ah! What do you mean? Is he tired? Of course, he is not tired. He said that the Go game is too big, and he feels dizzy from watching it. He can't hold on anymore, Wang Wu said proudly, as if he was standing beside the Go game himself. He's that good? Of course. This Go game stunned all those Go masters. How can he not be good? Who knows how long this Go game will last? Wang Wu said confidently. The Emperor equal King is really good. While the commoners discussed the situation downstairs, Crown Prince Yen Wudi frowned upstairs. Go and ask what Uncle Wang has been doing these days, Yen Wudi said to a subordinate behind him. Yes. The subordinate quickly went downstairs and left the restaurant. After a while, he came back. Once again, he came to Yen Wudi's private room. Reporting to the Crown Prince, I have asked the people in the city. It is said that the Emperor equal leaves the city early every day and comes back in the evening. Moreover, the gate he goes through is different every day. No one knows what the Emperor equal is doing. The subordinate said. Oh? You didn't play chess? Yen Wudi asked doubtfully. Yes, it's just as Wang Wu said. The Emperor's pieces are constantly being sent to the Star Luo Villa. So you're saying that Uncle Wang is playing chess while going out to do something? Yen Wudi asked in confusion. It should be. The subordinate said respectfully. Inform me when Uncle Wang returns tonight. I'll go see Uncle Wang. Yen Wuti thought for a while and said, "Yes." The subordinate immediately replied, "Go." In the south of Yanjing, Yen Chuan led 100 members of the embroidered uniform army and galloped. Following a mountain path, the Fergana horses climbed to the top of the mountain with difficulty. "Stop!" Yen Chuan pulled the reins. "Show!" The 100 Fergana horses all stopped. Sitting on the horse, Yen Chuan looked at the surrounding mountains and rivers. Gradually, he looked at the bustling Yanjing in the distance. "Lord, what are we looking for these days?" Lu Jin didn't understand. Yen Chuan looked at Yanjing and smiled, "I'm looking at the surrounding terrain. Yanjing might be our headquarters in the future. The surrounding mountains are extremely important. I have to know what to do." Chapter 169. What about the surroundings of Yen capital? Lu Jin asked curiously. "Overall, it's not bad. Unfortunately, there are too few dragon veins. There are only 4 of them. When I establish my country, these dragon veins will definitely not be enough. I still need to find someone to bring over 100 dragon veins for the capital to form a 100 dragon worshipping pattern. Only then can we suppress the great Yen dynasty and leave a legacy for 10,000 years." Yen Chuan said. "Yes." Lu Jin might not understand, but that didn't stop her from worshipping him. Da-da. 2 horses galloped over from afar. Dust flew everywhere as they passed. "Oh?" Yifeng made another move. Yen Chuan's eyes lit up. "Set up the chessboard." Lu Jin ordered the 2 embroidered uniform soldiers. "Yes." The 2 embroidered uniform soldiers quickly took down the chessboard on their backs and placed the chess pieces in order. They placed the chess pieces on a large rock. Yen Chuan got off his horse. The 2 horses also approached from afar. "Lord, the Grand Tutor has made a move. 2-2. The embroidered uniform soldiers hurried over and said, 2-2. "Oh?" Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes. Lu Jin quickly placed a white chess piece on the 2-2 position. Yen Chuan sat on the large rock and stared at the chessboard as he pondered. No one dared to disturb him. About half an hour later. "Good move. 2-2. You finally can't hold it in anymore?" Yen Chuan said with a smile. As he spoke, Yen Chuan took out a black chess piece and placed it on a hole on the chessboard. "Ping 44, eat your 3 pieces first," Yen Chuan said with a smile. After he placed the chess piece, 3 white pieces were eaten. "Go, Ping 44. Yen Chuan said to the embroidered uniform soldiers who were rushing over. "Yes." The 2 quickly rode their horses away. Xing Luo Mountain Villa, Outer Valley. A chessboard was placed in the middle. A group of Go masters sat cross-legged in the surroundings, all of them racking their brains for the Go puzzles on the Go boards. Meng Rongrong, Chongqing, and the other 5 had also arrived at the valley and were quietly staring at the chessboard. Meng Rongrong was mesmerized. Chongqing and the other 4 Julu Academy students frowned as they stared at the chessboard. "Young mistress, this chess game, their chess skills." Chongqing smiled bitterly. "What do you think?" Meng Rongrong asked. Chongqing smiled bitterly, shook his head and said, "It's me. I underestimated the people of the mortal world. In this game of chess, whether it's the black or white pieces, I'm no match for them." "That's right. Even among the students of the academy, his chess skills are among the best," Meng Rongrong said in a strange tone. "Go!" The sound of a horse came from outside the valley. It's coming, it's coming." The group of Go masters immediately got up from the ground and looked at the entrance of the valley with sparkling eyes. Because of this game of Go, the 2 embroidered uniform soldiers didn't need to dismount from their horses outside the valley. They rode directly into the valley. "The Lord has placed a piece. Level 44. One of the embroidered uniform soldiers shouted from his horse. "Level 44. The embroidered uniformed soldier beside the chessboard quickly placed a black piece. Clap! When the black piece was placed, everyone stared at the chessboard. More and more pieces were placed, and the chessboard became deeper and deeper. Some of the entranced players stared at the chessboard as if they were possessed. Looking at the chessboard, it was as if they were looking at a whirlpool that sucked in the minds of the Go masters. One of the Go masters, by May, even had his face flushed red. He stared at the chessboard as if he was sucked into it. Level 44, take 3 pieces first. The embroidered uniformed soldier took the white piece that was swallowed by the black piece. PFFF. By May suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell down. Master Bai, what's wrong? The surrounding Go players were flustered. Bai Mei withered and smiled bitterly. This old man actually vomited blood because of watching a game of Go. This game of Go is no ordinary game. I'm not even qualified to watch it. Chapter 170. The Dugu Sword Emperor's injury. The next day, the sky was still dark. North of Yanjing City. Hiya. Yan Chuan led a group of people to the peak of a mountain. Whoa! He pulled the reins, and everyone stopped. There was another person beside Yan Chuan this time. Crown Prince Yan Wudi. Hua Guang and Lu Jin reined in their horses, leaving Yan Chuan and Yan Wudi to look at Yanjing City in the distance. Uncle Wang's Go skills are indeed shocking. Xinglua Mountain Villa sent news that 3 Go masters vomited blood after watching the game. Yan Wudi sighed. Them? They forcefully comprehended the game when their cultivation wasn't high enough. Naturally, their minds were damaged. Moreover, their minds were focused on Yifeng's white pieces. When my black pieces killed, they naturally felt it. The impact of my Go stones drained him mentally and physically. Yan Chuan said indifferently. I already witnessed Uncle Wang's Go skills last night. I wonder why Uncle Wang called me here this morning. Yan Wudi asked. I'll show you something later. Yan Chuan said seriously. Something? What do you mean? Yan Wudi didn't understand. It's going to be dawn soon. You'll know soon. Yan Chuan shook his head and didn't say anything. All right. Yan Wudi nodded helplessly. Let me ask you. When I took down the representatives of the 4 countries that day, other than Chongqing and the others in the sky, were you and the Dugu Sword Emperor also there? Yan Chuan asked. Ha! How did Uncle Wang know? Yan Wudi was slightly surprised. Could it be Yan Chuan who found out? But at that time, he didn't show himself, so how could he have found out? Yan Chuan smiled and said, as long as it's the Dugu Sword Emperor. What does Uncle Wang mean? What's the Dugu Sword Emperor doing in Beijing? Yan Chuan asked. This. Yan Wudi frowned and didn't know if he should say it. That day in the Feng Shui formation, the Dugu Sword Emperor was chasing after a Feng Shui master with a sword. At that time, he shouted, Poisoner. The poisoner didn't die, so the poisoner should be in Yanjing, right? Yan Chuan asked. Ah. How did you know? Yan Wudi asked in surprise. This poisoner is a scourge. Yan Chuan said with a gloomy expression. Uncle Wang, how did you know? Master has been looking for poisoner for the past few days, but he still couldn't find him. Uncle Wang, do you know where the poisoner is? Yan Wudi asked seriously. I'm not sure. Yan Chuan shook his head. Sigh. Yan Wudi sighed. At that moment, the first rays of the morning sun appeared in the east and shone in all directions. The sun is out. Yan Wudi said. Look at Yanjing. Yan Chuan shouted. Yan Wudi looked in the direction of Yanjing curiously. Early in the morning, Yanjing was shrouded in a faint mist. It was like a fairyland. The sunlight quickly dispelled the darkness and shone through the mist in the city. Under the sunlight, a faint green light flashed in the mist. The green light was hazy, but it only appeared for a short time. In just a few breaths, the green light disappeared. That is. Yen Wuti was confused. Did you see it? The green light that shrouded Yen Jing. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes, I saw it. What was that? I've never seen it before. Yen Wuti was confused. That is the poison light. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Poison light? Yen Wuti didn't understand. Are there more and more sick people in Yanjing recently? Yen Chuan asked. Yes, I've heard about it. All the medical centers are full of people now. No one knows what's going on. Yen Wuti immediately looked at Yen Chuan. Chapter 171. This is a feng shui array. Someone set up this feng shui array in Yanjin and is spreading poison throughout the city. Yen Chuan said. The entire city? Yes, the entire city. Feng shui poison is different from normal poisons. Some feng shui poisons are alive. This poison is still growing. Once it matures, it will empty the entire city. Yen Chuan said. Empty the entire city? What? What do you mean? Yen Wuti seemed to have guessed something. 2 million people in Yanjin will be poisoned to death in one night. No one will be left alive. Yen Chuan said. Ah. Yen Wuti was shocked. I think you have already guessed it. This should be the work of the poisoner. Yen Chuan said coldly. Why would he do that? Yen Wuti asked with an ugly expression. I think the poisoner must be severely injured. He wants to poison everyone in Yanjin to death and extract millions of souls to heal his wounds. Heal his wounds? I don't understand. But Uncle Wang, these are 2 million lives we are talking about. They are all citizens of Yanjin. Since you have already guessed it, you should have a solution, right? Yen Wuti said anxiously. There is a solution, but I need the cooperation of the Dugu Sword Emperor. Take me to the Dugu Sword Emperor. Tell him that I have a way to find the poisoner. Yen Chuan said. Before Yen Wuti could say anything, suddenly, a voice came from the sky. You have a way to find the poisoner? The voice was filled with urgency. Caw caw caw. The Imperial Secret Army quickly knocked their bows and aimed at the sky. Yen Chuan waved his hand and stopped the archers. The Dugu Sword Emperor slowly descended from the sky with a long sword on his back. Master! Yen Wuti said in surprise. Dugu Sword Emperor, are you following us? Yen Chuan asked coldly. My disciple left before dawn, so of course I had to follow him. However, what did you mean by that? Can you find poisoner? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked anxiously. Yen Chuan coldly stared at the Dugu Sword Emperor. After a moment of silence, he nodded. How do we find him? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked in delight. Yen Chuan dismounted. Everyone followed suit and dismounted. Lu Jin, boil the tea. Yen Chuan said. Yes. Lu Jin replied immediately. He took out the spatial scroll, took out the table and chairs, and quickly boiled some tea with a small stove. Hua Guang ordered the soldiers to retreat to the side. Since you're here, it saves me the trouble of looking for you. Have a seat. Yen Chuan said. The Dugu Sword Emperor nodded. Yen Wuti also sat down. Soon, Lu Jin finished boiling the tea and poured tea for the three of them. I want to know why you want to kill poisoner. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Why are you asking this? The Dugu Sword Emperor frowned. If it was anyone else, I would be too lazy to ask. However, this is poisoner. That day, he was together with Shinkun Kuroha, so they were clearly on the same side. Rumor has it that Shinkun Kuroha was one of the murderers of my parents. How would I know if poisoner was one of them? I might have a grudge against him, but I have my own principles. grudges must be taken by myself. Thus, I need to get to the bottom of this. At the very least, you need to convince me to give him to you. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Are you confident that you can find Poisoner? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked in surprise. Yan Chuan's tone was full of certainty. The Dugu Sword Emperor couldn't help but be cautious. It's up to you. Yan Chuan said with a smile as he sipped his tea. Fine. There's nothing to hide. The Dugu Sword Emperor said with a bitter smile. I'd like to hear the details. Yan Chuan nodded. 200 years ago, I traveled the world with my sword, searching for experts to hone my swordsmanship. One time, I killed a ferocious demon. However, I almost died in that battle. I was severely injured and flew away from the scene. In the end, I fainted in a valley. The Dugu Sword Emperor recalled. That was the worst time in my life. There were many demonic beasts in the forest. If it wasn't for her, I might have died in their stomachs. Her? Yan Chuan asked. She was the daughter of the gate master of Chiba Gate. She found me and took care of me. I still remember that it was a valley full of lilies. When I woke up, the first thing she asked me was, "Are you hungry?" The Dugu Sword Emperor recalled with a smile. During the half-year that I was recovering from my injuries, she came to take care of me every day. Although I knew her intentions, I was too competitive at that time. After I recovered, I took my sword and left. I wanted to continue challenging experts from all over the world. To hone my swordsmanship. You left just like that? What happened to her? Yen Wudi was puzzled. I told her that the lilies would accompany her on my behalf. Seeing the lilies would be like seeing me. I also promised that I would visit her once every 5 years. The Dugu Sword Emperor said with a shaky voice. He clenched his fists as if he was filled with regret. What happened after that? After that, I went to visit her as promised. Every 5 years, I would visit her once. She was also very silly. She kept waiting for me. She kept waiting for me. Until 20 years ago, the Dugu Sword Emperor trembled. His eyes were bloodshot and slightly moist. What happened 20 years ago? 20 years ago, I was supposed to visit her. However, because of a long-awaited battle, I delayed it for half a year. Half a year later, when I arrived at Chiba Gate again, the Dugu Sword Emperor couldn't control his emotions. Tears flowed down his cheeks. What happened to Chiba Gate? The entire Thousand Leaves sect was massacred, and not a single one was spared. As for her, she was nailed to the gates of the Thousand Leaves sect. Even before she died, she was still holding onto a bouquet of lilies. The Dugu Sword Emperor crushed the teacup in his hand. His face was filled with pain. Tears fell from his eyes. She didn't know how to cherish things when she was alive. Only after she died did she realize how precious things were. Yan Chuan sighed. I only found out later that during the 6 months that I was late, she stood at the mountain gate every day. She looked at the lilies and waited for me. On the day of Chiba Gate's destruction, she was holding on to the lilies and waiting for me. Her eyes were filled with anticipation and her heart was filled with sorrow. But if I didn't participate in that battle, this wouldn't have happened. The Dugu Sword Emperor trembled. He was sobbing uncontrollably. Yan Chuan and Yen Wudi were both silent. Seeing the arrogant Dugu Jianwang shedding tears at this moment, the two of them didn't look down on him at all. They only felt sympathy for him. It was Poisoner? Yen Wudi asked with hatred. Yes. The leader of the group that destroyed Chiba Gate was Poisoner. 10 years later, I killed everyone except for Poisoner. This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. The Dugu Sword Emperor roared. You chased after Poisoner for 10 years? Yes. I will definitely take revenge. If you can help me find him, I will do my best to help you with one thing. The Dugu Sword Emperor said. All right. Poisoner, I will help you find him. I don't need to do anything else. You just need to teach my nephew well. You just need to guide him with all your heart. Yan Chuan said. Wang. Uncle Wang. Yan Woody looked at Yan Chuan in surprise. All right. I will let Woody inherit the Dugu family's secret. The Dugu Sword Emperor nodded. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.